Okay. It's 4 o'clock and I will call the Muskegon County.
Yeah, Bob, I'm not doing good.
Come on, Bob, we don't have volume, Bob.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
No,
I can hear you.
Okay. It's 4
That
o'clock.
speaker's not on. This one?
Is the speaker on?
No, I
and
see
on?
the lights, Tom. That one's on. So do you want me to pop this out, or I know you have so much going on?
Maybe hold on just a minute, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Oh yeah, there's nothing in this. So there's no button over here. There's not a button. Sorry. So but this is like, I mean, that's.
Yeah,
hard to
that
go.
should be good enough, I
Okay.
guess.
Is it working?
We can't, no, we can't hear Bob from that. I hear me and
Linda,
Roseanne.
can anybody hear me in the boardroom?
No.
Okay, now what?
We're working on it.
Well, here's a, oh yeah, no, I didn't.
They can hear you through that,
yeah.
but we can't hear them.
You guys can't hear Bob at all.
I can hear them
No.
through my Bluetooth, but they're hearing me, but we're not hearing them.
Yeah, because I can hear all of
It's
you.
that speaker that's not producing any sound.
Kristen knows how to work that one. Is there just one of the wires not?
I'll
No,
head
it's
down.
picking up the sound. It's just not broadcasting any sound in the room.
Adjourn till we can. Kristen, run.
Yeah, how about now? No.
There's usually some external lights on that speaker when it's working, and I don't see them. It's around the ring. I normally see
I
those.
see it.
Can somebody, Bob, can you say something?
Yeah, testing 1, 2. Can you hear now?
yeah, we got you now, bud.
Can you turn her?
Was that a yes?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, it's 4:04. I'll call the Muskegon County Board of Commissioners to order for board meeting. If I'm not, Kristen, I'm not sure who's calling the roll, Kristen or Kathy or Linda. Linda, you're doing it, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Were you going to do the invocation of Pledge of Allegiance first, though?
Oh, okay, yep. Charles, you want to do the invocation, please?
Sure. Let us pray. Dear God, we just thank you for today, an opportunity that we're able to come together. Lord, we just thank you for this wonderful weekend that we were able to have an Easter weekend. Thank you for the blessing you give us to travel to and fro with family and friends safely and to return. God, we just ask you right now to just bless all our troops that protect us. Lord, we just ask you to continue to bless us with protection as we deal with this pandemic. And Father, we just ask that you bless this time that we have here together. Give us the wisdom that passes all understanding. Bless those who lead us and bless those that we lead, and continue to give us the wisdom to understand the needs of the people of this community, and bless us to be able to work together in peace and unity. All these blessings we ask in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Charles. Susie, would you do the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Justice for all.
Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, Linda, now the roll call.
Commissioner Brown,
Here, Hall of Justice.
Commissioner Seer,
Here, Muskegon, Michigan.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Here, City of Muskegon.
Commissioner Hughes,
Here, Muskegon Township, Michigan.
Commissioner Larry,
Here, the Muskegon County Justice. Rick Walsh.
Vice Chair Nash,
Here, City of Muskegon.
Commissioner Pago,
Here, Muskegon County Hall of Justice.
Chairman Skolnick,
Here, City of Norton Shores.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Here, Muskegon County Hall of Justice.
9 present.
Okay, thank you very much for that. First item is the approval of the agenda. You should have had, you've got that in your packet. I need a motion to make that.
So
approval.
move.
Support.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion. It's been supported. There were multiple supports. I'm not sure who did it. Are there any questions, corrections, comments on the agenda? If not, we'll vote. Linda, another roll call, please.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Seer,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Hughes,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Pago.
No,
I'm sorry, could you repeat that again?
no,
Commissioner Wilkins, Chairman Skolnick,
Yes.
8 yes, 1 no.
Okay, the next item, or item 6 on the agenda, is the approval of the minutes of March 30th, 2021, and those were included in your packets.
So
Mr. Chair,
moved.
so moved.
I have a motion
Support.
by Mr. Nash. I think the support was by Mrs. Hovey Wright. Any corrections, any comments on the minutes of March 30th? If not, Linda, hope you got lots of sheets with you.
Commissioner Seer,
Yes.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Hughes,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Pago,
yes,
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Chairman Skolnick,
Yes.
9 yes, 0 no.
I thought I heard a no. Commissioner Pago, did you vote no?
I voted yes. Thank
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Okay, next item, item 7 is we have a presentation by the Director of Public Health, Kathy Moore. Kathy? I hope you're there.
I am here, yes. And so I wasn't sure if I'm sharing my screen. Nope, looks like she's doing that for me. Thank you so much. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. The, you know what a difference a day makes. The number of cases, Muskegon County continues to rise steadily, but a continuous increase. Next. The 7-day positivity rate is currently at 17.6. Again, I don't put a lot of emphasis on that because the positivity rate is the number of positive tests compared to all tests taken. And so this could mean that not a lot of healthy people are getting tested. So the real measure is the epidemic spread in the community, which is this chart at the bottom right. Our spread per million, new cases per million, which you could just divide that by 10 to make it a little more reasonable. New cases per 100,000 would be 28.5 or 28.6 compared to the Michigan average of 41.6, the regional average of basically 35. So we're there, we're right there in the middle, better than our contiguous Kent and Ottawa, better than the region, better than the state. but still an increase. Next, please. This is the number of deaths, and actually just before I signed on, I got a email from our epidemiologist, and the state recorded 3 deaths today. They didn't occur today, but they updated the spreadsheet today. So I was really ready to say only 1 death in the last 8 weeks, but just 2 minutes ago, we have 4 deaths. Next. This is the another measure, which is our hospitalization, our COVID-19 hospitalizations. As of yesterday, there were 29 adults with COVID-19 in the Mercy Health Sherman campus. 11 of those in ICU, 4 on the ventilator, and 41 individuals had presented the day before with COVID-like symptoms. Next. We monitor the prison rates, but they're not included in our community rates, and theirs have been pretty steady. No active increases or cases. Next. This is our vaccine coverage for our community. And you can tell by age group, 66% of the individuals in Muskegon County age 75 and over fully vaccinated, 60% of individuals age 65 to 74 fully vaccinated. And then that number declines with the age groups, but vaccine eligibility just opened up for basically those age groups 50 and below just yesterday. So we do expect that number to increase. Next. Just giving you the overall percentage of those 138,000 individuals, Muskegon County residents age 60 plus, who are vaccinated is 34.9% received the first dose, 21.3%. Now this is actually outdated. We're at 25% fully vaccinated. That's not the updated measure. And then the number of vaccines, 49,800 received Pfizer, 37,383 received Moderna, and 2,660 have received the J&J Janssen vaccine. Next. Oh, okay, that's the, these little black boxes were actually check marks. And so I was trying to give just a really quick dashboard or summary. The increase in cases based on the 7-day average, and this is not positivity rate, but our increase in cases I would consider concerning. The epidemic spread, which is 28 per 100,000 population, based on CDC guidelines, is moderate. The number of COVID-related deaths, at this time when I created that, there was only 1 in 8 weeks, and that was very good. I'd probably move that one to the lime color there. Hospitalizations, actually, according to the data that I have, was moderate, but based on just some recent news, where hospital leadership is concerned, I moved that over to orange, which is also concerning. Our vaccine coverage is actually very, very good for the age groups that were eligible. But if you just look at the overall, because we haven't started vaccinating in that younger age group, I'm just leaving it at good for now. So that is where we are overall. I think a positive related to vaccine coverage, if I could just go back to that, I'm sorry. A positive related to vaccine coverage is that we are now working with a lot of local community partners, including churches now, to hold really, to hold smaller pop-up clinics for their own constituency to be vaccinated. And so very happy with that. The increase in cases, we did receive notification from the regional epidemiologist that a case of the P1 was identified here in Muskegon County. There are only 2 cases of this variant in the state of Michigan, and Muskegon County, we are one of the 2 now. The individual who was diagnosed had recent travel to Mexico prior to diagnosis. So we think that is related. And the P1 is a little more concerning because it is found to be more transmissible, and potentially not the current vaccines may not be as effective on this variant. There is only 1 case, but it is here in Muskegon County. That concludes my report. Again, my last slide is always thanking our community partners, but they're wonderful. So that's it.
Thank you, Kathy. Are there any questions of Kathy?
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead, please.
There was a report that came out yesterday that 250 fully vaccinated individuals have been contracted COVID, and 3 of those are dead. They've been fully vaccinated and yet have contracted the disease. So I'm saying if you keep doing the same thing over and over again and it doesn't work, maybe try something new. We're vaccinating, wearing masks. It's obvious that the effectiveness of this vaccine is yet to be determined. What do you have to say about that report, Kathy, of fully vaccinated people contracting COVID and 3 of them dying?
Yeah, that is a accurate report from the state of Michigan, MDHHS. We do know that there's possibly even more that's not yet recorded. I think though, similar to a flu vaccine, it's not going to protect completely against COVID. So we do know that these vaccines were meant to prevent severe illnesses and death, but not necessarily prevent people from getting COVID-19.
So I've heard it. May I continue, Mr. Chair?
Yes, Mr. Ryan.
I've heard it referred to that getting the COVID vaccination is similar to taking Tamiflu. You still get the COVID virus. You're still potentially becoming a super spreader. You just feel better, and you don't get the symptoms, and basically creates an asymptomatic spreader. Would that definition be in the ballpark, Kathy?
I don't know that for sure, but we know that those who have received the vaccine could continue to spread the virus.
Thank you.
Kathy,
Yes.
is it, I heard that report today on one of the news media, and that 243 people, first of all, none of the vaccines were ever claimed to be 100% effective. So they're 90, 95, some are less. That's number one. Number two, there's been about I don't remember if it was 1.6 or 1.8 million doses already administered, because that's what the story that I heard on the radio said, that it's a very small number compared to the number of doses that had been administered. It was never thought it would be 0. So I just want to throw that out there, because you can spin this any way you want. You can make it look like it's a disaster, or you can say that it's pretty good. There's going to be some people who are going to die. 3 people out of 1.8 million people that are, I don't know how many got 2 and how many got 1, but it's a lot. So anyway, Kathy, sorry, I editorialized. Do you have anything else you want to throw in there?
I do not. I do know that a lot of people are concerned with, the quarantining related to travel. And at this time, there is no required quarantine. It's really not about the location. I mean, it could be with some of the variants, but not just yet. It's really about the behavior, not the specific location. And I think that's it for now.
Okay. Kathy, thank you. We'll see you next week.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, you may. Go ahead.
Moore, this is directed at Miss Moore. Did she leave?
Yeah, no, I'm here.
No, she's here.
So according to Bob's fact that he just gave, if that's in fact true, that the vaccine efficacy rate is 90 to 95%, the survival rate is what percentage of if you contract the COVID? 90%?
The survival rate is actually a pretty high percentage. That, you know, for the most part, if you look at the bell curve, everybody in the middle, 80, 85, almost 90%, of course, won't even have severe symptoms. So
my point, I guess, is actually to the chair and whoever else is listening, is the survival rate's 99% or more, and the vaccine efficacy is 90 to 95. Thank you.
Okay. We'll move on to public comment on an agenda item. There's quite a few people on the call. If you're on a phone, it's *6 to raise your hand so you can be recognized. Okay. Or if you're on a computer, if you get down to the bottom, you'll see under the, you'll see some buttons on the bottom. If you scroll down there, one says raise your hand. All right, we'll start with Karen Palmer. You have 2 minutes. Is somebody doing the clock? There we go. Okay, Karen?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you great.
Great. For agenda items, I oppose an increase in commissioner terms from 2 to 4 years. I support a resolution to request the governor to release funding. With regards to the Open Meetings Act, your oath is to support the Constitution of the United States and of the state. A Republican form of government in which the people hold the power requires open access for and participation by the people in all functions of government. Article 4, Section 4 of the U.S. Constitution. The Michigan Constitution, Article 1, Section 1, states that all political power is inherent in the people. Government is instituted for their equal benefit, security, and protection. We also have the right to peaceably assemble, to consult for the common good, to instruct our representatives, and to petition the government for redress of grievances. Article 1, Section 3. The extent you allow public bodies to limit public participation to electronic methods only due to a state of emergency or disaster is unconstitutional in violation of Article 4, Section 39 of our state constitution, which requires continuity of government in emergencies and disasters. This is discriminatory and makes us incapable of doing our own constitutional duty. In my township, Cedar Creek, I was told months ago that Zoom meetings could not be held because of the trees. We are well known for having difficulty with adequate internet signal. They have held meetings in a public school for the larger space, which you are also capable of choosing to do. But now what do? They hold Zoom meetings, knowingly discriminating against many people who cannot participate as the law requires. You have also chosen to do this for the past year. You want to continue. You have no constitutional right to do so, and you can be held accountable for deliberately choosing to discriminate and thus violate your oath of office. You have a choice: violate or protect our rights.
Karen, your time is up, and thank you very much. Tony Barnes. Tony, unmute, please.
Thank you, Chairman Skolnick. I just wanted to say that I appreciate the resolution with respect to extending the emergency relief, because in my opinion, you get a whole lot more participation when you do have it by Zoom. If we were to open this up and try to get into the county building and maintain social distancing, there's no way we're going to be able to accommodate the amount of people that are attending the meeting just today, for example. So that would put us in some sort of a potential violation. The Zoom meeting just keeps it open for everyone. And just for the record, it's Tony Barnes, 5920 Metamore Lane, but I appreciate the opportunity to speak today. Just to address this survival rate, that's not what we're really concerned about right now. We're more concerned with the death rate. So I just want to make sure everybody keeps that in mind as they move forward throughout the rest of this agenda in this meeting. And I absolutely oppose a 4-year term for county commissioners. Thanks. Have a great day.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Barnes. Tim Klein. Tim, you're gonna have to unmute, please. Thank you. Oops. No, you muted again. Oh, no. Where'd he go?
Are we good now? Are we good?
Yep, you're good. You're good.
All right. This is Tim Klein. As I've stated in the past, I'm a U.S. Air Force Lieutenant Colonel, resident of Norton Shores and of Muskegon County since 2006. Speaking to you concerning agenda item 11 for the renewal of the local state of emergency. It's my understanding after correspondence that my wife had with Commissioner Hobie Wright that this extension of state of emergency is only to allow the Board of Commissioners meeting to remain virtual, which I assume is required to the Fair Meetings Act. So please correct me if I'm wrong there. There must be another way, and I would like to see discussion on this. I'm not opposed to additional or adding a virtual meeting component to the live meeting. I find virtual meetings helpful, but I do not think that a state of emergency is the only way to be able to gain access to adding virtual meetings as a component to an in-person one. We, the people, want to end to the government overreach that has been perpetuated by an invisible enemy masquerading as SARS-CoV-2, COVID-19 in the mainstream media. Don't misunderstand me that I believe that there isn't a SARS-CoV-2 virus. There probably is. However, no pandemic would need such media attention, and it would be self-evident as you shopped, recreated, or otherwise went around your daily life. I appreciate the efforts that MDHHS has put into their presentation, and I find no basis for a continued state of emergency based on their facts. I request that the proposal to stand with the other Michigan counties in defiance of illegal orders from the state and its groupings that was voted down last week be reintroduced at this meeting and passed. On the basis of extending the emergency orders, I see that in the near future, a vaccine passport will be introduced in direct opposition to the freedom of movement under US law. If Muskegon County does not take a stand now and firmly, we risk losing our core freedom in transit to perform business that allows us to maintain and sustain our lives. This does not just apply to leisure, but will extend to groceries and basic necessities. And you only have to look at New York or Israel to see examples. Commissioner Skolnick, please be advised that your voicemail box is full, and with you not addressing either your phone nor your emails, you're not listening to us, and you will be forcing us to take drastic measures. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you, Mr. Klein. Next would be Jennifer Hodges. Jennifer Hodges, please. Jennifer, unmute, please.
Am I unmuted now, Commissioner?
Yes, you are.
Okay, hello, everybody. Supervisor Muskegon Charter Township here. I actually wanted to thank you for extending the state of emergency last week. We were a little discouraged at first because we were eager to get back in person, and then Muskegon Township had a positive case of COVID amongst staff that affected multiple staff members and a board member. Therefore, we had to make the decision in the middle of last week to have a virtual meeting for our board meeting last night. We were disappointed because we can't wait to get back in person, but extending the state of emergency gives us that opportunity to make these decisions as we need to keep our staff, our board members, and more importantly, our community safe. It's nice to have that as an option during this pandemic, knowing we may not always need to do that. Our citizens seem to appreciate it so far. So thank you for taking it into consideration. And I want to encourage the commissioners that oppose this or are on the fence to keep in mind, you have a lot of communities that may have situations like this where multiple board members may be exposed, and to continue doing the duties of the people, we need this option. So thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Next up is Alan G. I don't know who that is, but unmute, please, Alan.
Okay, this is Alan Gerwood, City of Muskegon. And I just want to say thanks to Kathy Moore for bringing in that information. That was kind of interesting. That a lot of this we're doing seems to be for 4 deaths in the last 8 weeks, if I understand her information correctly. I'm concerned that there's no metrics or measurements or boundaries on these state of emergency, and want to know what boundaries there are on this. I'd like to know what additional powers this gives to any county employees to do anything, to restrict anything, to do anything more. So if somebody could address that, I'd like to know about additional county powers there. Also, I'm curious about what this means if this continues on, if I understand correctly, through the end of the year. What does this do to county scheduled events, for instance, at Heritage Landing, such as Unity Fest or the Irish Music Festival? Does this put any restrictions on them to be able to do the festivals that they'd like to do? What Karen Palmer addressed some of the legal things, and she did great. And Tim Klein, I seem to have some good points there. Did not realize that COVID passports are something on the agenda here for the future. And I would heartily express my desire not to see those things happen. Our bodies are our responsibility. And I appreciate that the commissioners are trying to look out for us, but it's our body, our responsibility. And I hope that you would limit your restrictions on us to do what we need to do to live our life and our lifestyles.
Hey, Alan, your time is up, and thank you for your comments. Next up is Debbie Knoll. Debbie, unmute, please. There you go. Nope, you're muted again. Debbie, can you get it off mute? We can't. There.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right, thank you, Commissioner Skolnick. I also agree that we do not have a state of emergency based on science that Kathy Moore has just given us. So, and I also believe, Mr. Skolnick, that opening up this Pandora box could affect other effects other than Zoom. Just like he stated, if it shows that we have a state of emergency in Muskegon, all of the events could have, difficulty and even going on. So I disagree that we are in a state of emergency with 99% recovery rate, low deaths, and 95% of the vaccines recovery rate. And I do want to mention the fact that with these vaccines, I personally would never take one based on my religious beliefs. There are aborted fetuses that are being used in the making of the vaccines or are in the vaccines. So when you talk about a passport, that is just really scary across this country that you are mandating something like that. I know that's not on the agenda, but I just want you to know that that is true, that aborted babies are being used for these vaccines. And then the other thing I wanted to mention was that I don't agree with a 4-year term for county commissioners status. So those are my comments. Thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you, Debbie. Next up is Tammy Strodbeck. Tammy, unmute, please. I think I don't know if I don't see her anywhere. It looks like she dropped off. If she comes back, I'll call on her again. Nathan Silva. Nathan, you need to unmute, please.
Thank you, Commissioner Skolnick. I just wanted to voice my support for what Karen Palmer stated earlier under the legal authorities provided in the United States Constitution and the Constitution of the state of Michigan. We should not be extending the state of emergency in Muskegon County at this time. While we certainly mourn the deaths of so many of our friends and family members due to this virus, based on the science that's available, with over a 99% survival rate, several vaccines and therapeutic treatments available. Now we have the knowledge to know that this pandemic is not, would not qualify as an emergency, I believe. So I would urge you all to discontinue that. I support having a virtual option for people who are unable or who do not desire to attend an in-person board meeting, but I think that option should be available for those of us who would like to attend in person. And yeah, I'd also like to voice my opposition to a 4-year term for county commissioners as well. And I will yield the balance to my time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Silva. I'm going to go, apparently she's been waiting a while. Christina Parks. Christina, yeah, there you go. Go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Dr. Christina Parks. I got my PhD at University of Michigan in cellular and molecular biology. I live in Oceana County, but I'm attending the board meeting at the request of Melinda Pago. For me, based on the science, we are not in epidemic status, I believe. My understanding is that you have to have more than 5% of deaths, at any given time period be due to the contagious agent in order to be considered an epidemic. And so I don't support a state of emergency. The vaccines do not protect against transmission, but they are available for those who want to protect themselves. So since they are available and there are many therapeutic options that now have hundreds of studies, ivermectin has shown to be almost 100% effective at preventing transmission. And so I'd be happy to share those studies with anyone interested. That means that anyone who wants to can take prophylactic measures. And as the last person just said, you can also make available a call-in option if the person is ill or is concerned for their health. And so I think that if we set this precedent of not following the science, that it's going to be used as an excuse for every time that someone feels that they want to be heavy-handed with something. And so again, I just think that there are 3 different vaccines available. There's ivermectin, there's hydroxychloroquine, and these have proven to be budesonide, extremely effective. So I do not support a state of emergency. It's not warranted.
Okay, thank you, Christina. I'm going to call on Kathy Bolthouse next. She was one of the first to raise her hand. There you go, Kathy. Go ahead.
Yes, this is not Kathy Bolthouse. This is Toby Hildebrand, a resident of Muskegon County. I'm just using my mom's computer.
Okay.
I would like to voice my opinion in regards to agenda item 11 to extend the state of emergency in Muskegon County. I completely disagree with that. As everybody else has stated, in addition to Dr. Christina Parks, the science and data do not back that at all. And there has been a statement that you're concerned about the safety of the community. I think that is a poor excuse. You're not looking at the safety of the community as far as all the businesses that are losing their livelihood. You're not looking at the safety of all those affected, their mental health being affected by this quote unquote pandemic, which I don't think it ever was a pandemic. You're talking about needing to extend this state of emergency to spare the hospitals from being overwhelmed. They haven't been overwhelmed since day one. I disagree with a mandated vaccine. I disagree with a COVID passport. I think this is a complete overreach of government control. I think it has been since day one. My heart goes out to those that have been affected by the virus and have lost loved ones as a result of it. but I know several people who have lost loved ones as a result of mental illness because of all the shutdowns the government has executed due to this. It's much broader picture than this, and I feel that a state of emergency would just make it worse. I also oppose a 4-year term for county commissioners, and trying to think if there's anything else. I think I will yield the rest of my time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Bolthouse. Daniel Maynard. Daniel, have to unmute, please.
Yeah, Dan Maynard, Fruitland Township. I think that the COVID virus is a dastardly thing. And I think that if we're gonna have a state of emergency and a lockdown in our county, that I think because the Equal Protection Clause in the Constitution would say everybody locks down. There are no essential jobs. Everybody stays home, and we board up any roads that come into the county. For you guys to think that December 31st of 2021 is gonna outsmart the virus, you're sadly wrong. I yield back.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Mr. Maynard. Michelle Mixa, please.
Hi, my name is Michelle Mixa. First, I'd like to say thank you, Kathy, for all the work you do to protect the most vulnerable of our community. It looks like the county has done an outstanding job making sure that the most vulnerable have been widely vaccinated and mostly protected already. I do not support the extension of the state of emergency. I had a terrible time getting into this call, and many people have been texting me wanting me to try to help them, of which I'm completely unable to do. This is a perfect reason why this should not be happening, and we should be meeting in person. A huge part of our power as citizens in this county is the right to peaceably assemble, which you are denying us by keeping us in these meetings online. There are many counties in the state of Michigan who are meeting in person. They are leading by example that it's possible for the people of our county to speak face to face with their representatives. The cases will never be zero. Deaths will never be zero. What is the goalpost? When will we be considered safe? At this point, it seems like that will be until COVID is gone, which will never be. We will never be out of a state of emergency. How can we possibly extend this to the end of the year? If that happens, we are not using data to make this decision. I've lost 3 people to the virus. I've also lost 2 friends to suicide, and my niece has been in and out of the psychiatric facilities for the past year. The cure cannot be worse than the disease, and at this rate, the cure is the real problem today. I do not support longer terms, and I do support putting pressure on the governor to release funds. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. Next would be Carrie Westbrook. Carrie, unmute, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
My name is Carrie Westbrook. I am Muskegon Charter Township's clerk, and I just wanted to speak for a moment on the person that said the hospitals have never been overwhelmed. I am married to a firefighter. My daughter is an EMT for both White Lake and ProMed. I have also worked in Mercy ER as the health unit coordinator up until my position with Muskegon Charter Township. So I have many friends that work in the ER and in the ICU. And I can say without a shadow of a doubt that those hospitals have been overwhelmed. I have nurses that I've listened to cry because of how overwhelmed they are, and family members that they can't let back there and everything that they go through. So to say that there isn't a problem and that this will just go away, I think is very irresponsible. And as of last night, Mercy ER was at a disaster status. So I don't understand how people can say they're not overwhelmed if Mercy ER was at a disaster status last night. And I also do not think that commissioners should have a 4-year term. And that's all. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mrs. Westbrook. Ken Hildebrand. Ken, unmute, please. You can speak.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm 100% against the emergency extension. The problem is people say the Pandora's box might be opened, and I think it already has been. We already have a second and third strain. And when does it end? Do we keep extending it until we take care of the second strain? Do we extend it till we take care of the third strain? I've had, the news and over in Europe, I've listened to the news over there where they've said we're reluctant on opening up because we're not 100% sure the vaccine is effective for the second strain. So now what do? Do we wait until we get a vaccine for the second strain? Do we wait till we go into the third strain? It's got to stop. The science is there. I understand that nobody wants to see anybody get sick, but the science is there to prove that this emergency extension just keeps going and going and going, and it really needs to stop. I yield my time.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hildebrand. Sandra Cross, please. Sandra, unmute your microphone, please. There you go.
Hello, I'm Sandra Cross. I'm in Fruitland Township. I am strongly opposed to the decision to declare a state of emergency in Muskegon County until the end of this year. I'm upset that one person has the authority to declare this by himself without a vote or inclusion of the other elected commissioners. I and many others have had enough of bureaucratic control and restrictions of our rights and our freedoms. More and more studies are showing that masks and lockdowns do not work in controlling the virus. It will continue. I ask that you stop trying to control our lives and take a stand for our freedom. Thank you, and I will give the rest of my time up.
Okay, thank you, Sandra. Next up is Marissa Wodorsky. Marissa, are you on?
Hi, it's Brenda. I'm using my daughter's Zoom because I couldn't get my hand raised on Facebook, but I wanted to address, going back to Kathy Moore, if we can get someone in asking the right questions is the biggest thing. I have worked in the medical field over 27 years. I work with hospice, Alzheimer's, and multiple assisted livings. When she's talking about the total positives test, many of those are repeat tests. In long-term care and sports testing, they will test them multiple times. They can test them, and they are each counted individually. Also, the deaths that have happened all over the country, according to the CDC, if you take out the ones with over 2+ comorbidities, we're down to 10,000. 29 adults with COVID. How many people are in the hospital? They're saying the hospitals are overwhelmed. The hospitals are running the same numbers that they did in 2019 and 18. So we need to ask the right questions, stop with the fear mongering, get with the facts and science. This is still 0.003. We need someone there to address Kathy Moore with the right questions, because FDA is even concerned about the false negative results. The emergency that you guys should be concerned with, as many other people, the inpatient, outpatient, and the mental health clinics, the number of people who added prescription meds in the last year, anxiety, antidepressants, the number of suicides, attempted suicides, the number of bankruptcies, the number of people leaving Michigan. So once again, anybody should recuse themselves of voting if they can't take their emotions out of it and just get to the facts. I've lost many residents from the shot versus COVID. I've had 96-year-olds that have tested positive in long-term care facilities, and they were fine, even on hospice. Once given the shot, they died before the second shot. So once.
Okay. Next up, Tim Klein. Tim, is that okay? Tim, can you hear me? You have to unmute. Tim, are you there?
I think he already spoke.
Okay. Well, I think his wife wanted to get on. She couldn't.
Thank you.
Tim, if you raise your hand again, I'll recognize you next time. Oh, there you are.
Hey,
Go ahead.
hey, Bob, I didn't want to speak again. My wife has been trying to get on.
I
To
know.
those that are having a difficult time, the passcode on the agenda is incorrect. It's not 760-600. It's 670-600. I'm sure it's probably just an honest error, but if anybody wonders, that's why we're having trouble.
We correct. Sorry. If your wife calls in, I'll call on her.
Thank you.
Angela Bush. Angela, you gotta unmute, please.
Hello?
Yes, you're on.
Hi there. Okay. Yeah, I had that challenge for the first 20 minutes trying to get on and finally realized the passcode was incorrect, along with many other people. But I strongly oppose this. I agree with much of what was said. COVID is not going away. The numbers just don't add up. I hope someone said that our numbers should be at least 5% for this to even be able to happen, and we're not there. I hope that's true. This just decision to decide for everybody, unilaterally what is best is just completely out of control. What I really want to know, and have Kathy Moore still on, is how will this affect our kids? How will it affect our school being in a state of emergency until December? Does that mean masks till December? Does that mean staying in the classroom, not the lunchroom till December? Does that mean businesses are at capacity till December? What does this mean for businesses and our children in school? Because mine aren't in school now. I was going to put them back, but if they're masked all day and they can't go to gym and art and everything else, they're not going back to school. So what does that mean for the community and the residents? I understand, Bob, I talked to you earlier and you said you guys wanted to continue the Zoom meetings. And while I understand doing Zoom for you all is very convenient for government officials, you people were elected for and work for us. We are the people. And while Zoom's convenient for you, it's not convenient for the rest of our lives. And it's not convenient for our children and our businesses. And we matter. It's not about 10 people or even 40 people that run meetings. And I want a clear, I guess, answer from Ms. Moore, if she's on, about what will that change for the county residents, for schools, how will it affect schools, what will be staying in place or added in place, and what does it mean for residents and businesses as far as distancing, masking, and all of that? How will it affect the rest of us, not just the officials? And I am against the 4-year term. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Bush. R.E. Smith. Unmute Mr. Smith, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, my name is Robert Smith, live in the city of Muskegon. And I want to start out with saying I am against the 4-year term for commissioners. And also I am against the extension of any emergency act. I don't believe 4 people dying in the last few weeks is any reason to say there's a pandemic. You know, the virus, it's without the vaccines, got a 99.7 or 8% survival rate for those who get sick. Not those who carry it, those who get sick. It's stupid to have everything locked down. Muskegon County should be opened up. Every business in Muskegon County should be opened up. Every restaurant, every store, everything in Muskegon should be opened up, and people should be allowed to get back to their daily lives. This is stupid. I feel sorry for those who get sick. Sorry for the families of those who have died. Also the same thing with cancer. Same thing with any other disease. It happens. Death is a part of life. This is just being played out to control the public. There's no excuse for this. The people of this county and people of this state and this country need to get up off their butts and throw all these idiots out of office that trying to keep us in a lockdown. There's no excuse for it at all. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Smith. Kevin Hahn. Kevin, please, there you go.
Hi there, this is actually Maya Hahn. Kevin Hahn is my husband. Sorry, we are on vacation in Florida, so I had to use his phone. Both of us are healthcare providers on the front line, and I work with speech and language deficits and children with autism disorders. We both have seen serious repercussions in our patients, not by this virus, but by the response to this virus. Children that need special education and therapy services have been drastically and adversely affected because of the response. The lack of being able to provide appropriate education to these children that have a neurodevelopmental window that they have missed because of the response. We need to stop the state of emergency responses. They are inappropriate. We now have viable therapies for COVID-19 on a virus that is 99.5% lethal. We are seeing dramatic impacts on our society because of the response. It needs to stop. We now know 5 patients, children, pediatrics, that have attempted suicide, and now 2 have accomplished that. Please dig deep into your hearts, look at the science, listen to the professionals that are on the front lines. We need to stop the response. We need liberty. We need freedom. We need to stop being afraid of a virus that will be in our environment forever. We now have appropriate treatments. If only we address and give people the treatment that they need. We need to stop living in fear, get on with our lives. And I yield my time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Hahn. Next up is Chad Simpson. Chad, unmute, please, and you can speak. There you go. Thanks.
My name is Chad Simpson. I live in Nuevo County. I just wanted to say I definitely oppose the overreach that this Michigan has done. I, for one, have suffered because of all these lockdowns. I've had 7 surgeries in 2 years. I have to have more surgeries on my lower back that I can no longer have because I can't wear a mask. I can't get pain meds because I can't see my doctor. So I'm in constant excruciating pain. My best friend now is living with me because he had a stroke and a heart attack because he couldn't get his meds. He has COPD. He can't wear any type of mask and can't see his doctor either. This isn't just affecting, me and him. It's also affecting other people that you don't hear stories of. This stuff just has to stop. I've had COVID. It wasn't that bad for me. The science is there to help people that do get it. I feel sorry for the people that have passed away from it. I feel sorry for their family. But anybody that supports this, we as Michiganders need to get rid of these people. Vote them out. I yield my time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Heidi Seitzema. Heidi, if you would unmute, please, you have the microphone.
Thank you. Heidi Seitzema from downtown Muskegon in the city. And I just wanted to say that I appreciate that the state of emergency has been extended and is being considered to be further extended. It allows for greater participation in these meetings for people who have not made time in the past or able to show up at 4 o'clock to a particular location within county government, but now can sign in from anywhere, including people who have disabilities or mobility challenges, lack of access to transportation. I think it allows for a lot greater participation, even if you're not prepared to speak, to just listen and understand what's happening. So thank you for considering that, and I'm finished. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Heidi. Sandra Kemp. Sandra, you need to unmute and you are on.
Thank you. Thank you for the time. First of all, I'd like to say that I definitely oppose the 4-year term for county commissioners. But more importantly, I strictly oppose the extension of the state of emergency in our county. I know there have been deaths. I know people have gotten sick, but shutting down our county for a year till the end of the year is absolute nonsense. Our children are not getting the education they deserve. I know the survival rate is very high, so there's no sense in shutting us down for such a high survival rate. I yield my time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sandy. I'm going to go to Chris Kiley. He's been up there for a while. Chris, if you want to unmute, you have the microphone.
Okay, can you hear me fine?
Yes, you're good.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm against the state of emergency, but let me say I'm against the 4-year terms as well, so I can get that out of the way. I think people ought to take personal responsibility and protect themselves through masks and social distancing. And those people that do have a lot of comorbidities or are more vulnerable, they should be separating themselves from people to protect themselves. I know of, through a friend of mine, a veteran who took his life early on in this pandemic because he wasn't allowed to go out, and that was his only way of contact with other people. I think there's repercussions to having a state of emergency, which affects businesses and events. I go into people's homes and do repairs, and I've been in homes throughout the past year, except for a very short period of time. Most people are living their lives, they're normal, they're okay. We social distance, I wear masks, I do extra sanitation, and have not had any problems. But I do want to say that a friend of mine, his mother was terribly sick. She was in assisted living. She ended up in the hospital, had emergency surgeries. They were trying to get her better. They put her in a nursing home, and she died in 2 days from COVID. There's also a eminent, and she didn't have COVID before she went in. There's an eminent immunologist who recently said that vaccinating people that have already had COVID is dangerous and it causes health problems. So I think people should be taking responsibilities, and the commissioners should meet in person and allow Zoom for everyone else.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Chris. I think Tammy was next. Tammy Jagger, if you'd like to speak, please unmute and you have the stage.
Hello, I just want to say I'm absolutely dead set against any four-year term for any county commissioner. It should go for a vote of the people because we're the ones that elect you. And to arbitrarily change your term is self-serving, and none of you should have a vote on that. And second, I'm against signing anything to do with more lockdowns to the end of the year. If your concern is about the people having access, you can run in-person meetings and still have Zoom meetings at the same time, unless your IT department is completely incapable of handling both, or the board is incapable of handling both. So you can serve the public by meeting in person, so those that want to go can go in person, and those that want to stay home and be safe can still participate via Zoom. Problem solved. I'm going to yield the rest of my time, and I'm going to hope this board sincerely thinks about the fact that we elect you to serve on that board to represent us from each of our individual districts. And I'm hoping that my commissioner votes against a four-year term and against locking this county down for any more reasons. Thank you. Have a great day.
Okay, thank you, Tammy. Haraya Niegos, you're next. Unmute, please.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Brian Niegos, Northern Shores resident. Just a couple of points related to item 11. A lot of what's been said today stems around things that are frankly irrelevant to what the state of emergency seeks to do. We've heard a lot of usage of the word lockdown, shutdowns, restrictions of freedom, quote, stop shutting us down, end of quote. If you work through those terms, let's look at what the actual extension seeks to do. Lockdown, what lockdown? It wouldn't lock anything further down. Shutdown, again, the idea that businesses are struggling, and my heart goes out to those, but there's nothing in this extension that shuts down any of these businesses. And the idea that freedoms are restricted, as someone that's attended these meetings before, I can tell you that from my experience, and I'm sure that Mr. Skolnick and other commissioners that have been on this board for a long time, there have never been 100+ participants for such a meeting. So the idea that this somehow restricts people's voices is, I mean, it's just laughable. Two other quick points. The folks that are speaking from the audience that are not even Muskegon County residents, of course, speaking about things that, again, are largely irrelevant to what the local emergency seeks to do. I think that that should shed some light on the motivation behind some of the folks on this current commission. And And again, I would just encourage people to look at the actual text of the extension. None of this seeks to do anything more than what Ms. Hodges said that they were able to do in Muskegon Township due to this ongoing local emergency, which is protect people. Thank you.
Thank you, Haraya. Next would be Carrie Knight. Carrie, if you would unmute, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm Carrie Knight, Twin Lake, Muskegon Township. I want to say number one, no to the 4-year terms for commissioners. Also, as legislators, we voted you in to ensure that you are looking out for the people of this county and not for yourselves. And for you to arbitrarily just want to extend your time in service is a crime, and it should not be allowed. And the people will have spoken from what I can see right now. Also, the township and the county needs to step forward against these vaccine passports. Y'all need to make sure this does not go through. That's something that they did in Russia and also Nazi Germany. I'm sure you've heard this term in many German movies. Let me see your papers, please. So do we want to live like that, where we run our lives because we're being dictated to on how to run our lives, where to shop, what to eat, when, what not to eat? People, we live in a free country, and we're about to lose this because these people here that we're looking at on these Zoom calls, because they are too scared to open up the county. They want to keep us on definite lockdown because they don't want people up in their face talking to them directly, because they don't want to have to answer those tough questions of why they're voting the way they're voting. Your people have been deplorable. You need to stand up for the people. Stop doing what you want to do for yourselves and stop being so darn selfish. I yield the rest of my time.
Okay, thank you, Carrie. Before I call the next person, I think I'd like to just clarify something, and that people are talking about these 4-year terms for commissioners. That's just a resolution by Genesee County. It's there for information only. That would have to, I don't know who would make that decision. It certainly isn't us. And that isn't even an issue. It was just somebody's idea. Okay, next up would be June Cook. June, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly. Thank you.
Okay. My name is June Cook, and I live in District 4 of Muskegon County, which is Norton Shores. And I would like to address, the issue I would like to address is concerning the state of emergency for Muskegon County being issued until December 31st, 2021. Before we declare a state of emergency, as a scientist, I would like to see the data of positive COVID cases and its relationship to the usage of marijuana. COVID is a respiratory virus that affects the lungs, and marijuana is an inhaled substance which affects the lungs. The marijuana industry is huge in Muskegon County and growing daily. My question is, why are we not seeing any data, or at least looking at this situation to see if the increase in COVID cases is related in any way to the marijuana usage? I believe that after more than 12 months of wearing masks and social distancing, it has been proven that those measures do not work to eliminate the virus. So I think it's time to look at other variances. We have shut down restaurants for a year to determine they are not a source of COVID spread. It is time to look at another reasonable possibility, and that is the marijuana industry, because of how both COVID and marijuana affect the lungs. I would like to see a shutdown imposed on the marijuana industry for a length of time, possibly 6 months to a year, and to determine if that is the reason for Muskegon County having an increase in COVID positive cases. So before you consider punishing everyone in Muskegon County with a state of emergency,
Mrs. Cook,
I am strongly requesting.
Your time is up, ma'am. Okay, next is Angela Klein. Angela, I think you tried to get in earlier. You have to unmute. Angela, there you go.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, first, I'd like to address you, Mr. Bob Skolnick, because I am a Norton Shores resident, and I think it's very sad that this is the only way I have a chance to speak with you. You've made a lot of choices that are not for any Norton Shores residents. I don't know what makes you think that you can just do the things that you do, but it would be nice if you could speak to your constituents when we have a problem with some of the things you do, because remember, you are elected. You're an elected official, which brings me to another thing. I'm very against the 4-year term. And in fact, I am for term limits. You need to be out of office. You need politicians being able to just keep doing the same job over and over and over and over and over again. No, I'm very against that. There should be term limits. The state of emergency is just ridiculous. I think we understand why President Roosevelt said the only thing to fear is fear itself, because people like this are perpetuating all of this stuff that is just stealing all of our freedoms away from us. There's nothing to fear, but you guys are definitely fanning the flames of fear. And there's definitely ways to do what you're wanting to do. For people to come on and say, well, I want to have a state of emergency just because it gives me the ability to come on a Zoom meeting. There's other ways to come on a Zoom meeting. And I do appreciate you emailing me back, Mrs. Hubby Wright, because you are the only one who did. And I appreciate that. But again, I say to you, there's other ways to take care of. You can have an in-person meeting, which we should. It's our right. We should do that, and have a Zoom meeting. But by having this state of emergency, it only gives you guys access to do whatever you want, push any agenda you want. It was really hard for me to come onto this meeting. So no, we should not be in a state of emergency. I will be holding you accountable, especially you, Mr. Skolnick. And I guess that's it. My time's about up. No state of emergency and no 4-year term.
Okay, Angela Bush, I think you've already spoken, Angela. Is that a mistake, or do you have your hand raised?
I did. Bob, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, I did. So I was not going to go on for 2 minutes. I just wanted to comment something in regards to something that Haraya said, that, you know, people don't usually turn out in person because it's more convenient for Zoom. And I just wanted to point out, when there was major issues that people were passionate about, like the Planned Parenthood issue and the Sanctuary City issue, hundreds of people turned out in person. So I just wanted to correct that. The people, when they have an issue, whether it's Zoom or in person, that they do show up. So it's not accurate to say they just show up when it's a Zoom meeting. And the same thing happened.
Okay. All right. I have 2 people on the phone. I don't have names. The first one, the number ends in 6038. If you would unmute *6, it's your turn. Okay. 6706038. Are you still there? All right. I don't see them doing anything. Lynn Sample, if you would unmute, it's your turn. Okay, so that's the last one that I see. Lynn Sample, you have the microphone if you're there. Okay, you know, the rules say that you get one crack at this, and people are starting to raise their hand a second time. Ken Mahoney, you have to unmute.
Okay. Just a quick note, lockdowns and all of that are irrelevant for what you're talking about. We're asking that we allow commissions, not just the Board of Commissioners, but townships and those folks and other public bodies to be able to use Zoom meetings if they feel uncomfortable about having a whole bunch of folks in an enclosed area. Has nothing to do with closing the businesses, has nothing to do with all of the other issues that are brought up, which are state issues, not county issues. And also, you're right, Bob, the 4-year term thing has nothing to do with what the county commission can do to change it or not change it. Just follow the rules, that's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mahoney. Ann, you've already had a turn, but you can have a little bit more time if you've got something to add.
Ann did not speak.
Wait, I'm sorry, say that again?
Ann Derwin did not have an opportunity.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you did, Ann. Go ahead, please speak. I thought you, I apologize.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I called you today, Bob. You didn't answer my call. All right, I want to state I strongly oppose a state of emergency in Muskegon. We do not have the numbers to support this. You need to follow the science. And the Biden administration is the biggest violator of COVID guidelines and restrictions taking place at our southern border by letting all these illegals in. And yet you want to restrict the people in Muskegon. These people have disease. It's already been proven they have COVID and they let them out in the country. You wonder what the surge is? This is a planned surge. It needs to stop. I disagree with the COVID passport. What happened to our freedom? As far as the Zoom meetings are concerned, they're fine for people who can't get to the meeting. But every single commissioner, and especially you, Bob, have a responsibility to face us and be in that meeting room, in that board meeting, and quit hiding behind what you think is such a big outbreak. The terms, the data does not support that. And I also support the Muskegon resolution that was brought, I believe it was last week, and you guys voted it down. Our governor needs to be reined in too, just like about 5 people on this commission need to. Thank you.
Okay, Lynn Sample, are you there now?
She's in.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Apologies. We've been asked to trust the science, and many have. But coercion is not science. Withholding data is not science. Manipulating data is not science. Cherry picking studies is not science. Social conditioning is not science. Fear mongering is not science. Pharma propaganda is not science. Whereas the positive therapeutics, where is the nutrition counseling suggesting, we all know that vitamin A, vitamin D, iodine, vitamin C, probiotics, cholesterol, oil of oregano, black seed oil, curcumin, and colloidal silver are all beneficial to the body. Yet no one in the so-called government is even suggesting, none of your public service announcements, no one is talking about any of these remedies to be a healthy person. It's only about trusting the science and the coercion and the manipulation. And I would like to know, when did flatten the curve become stay at home until you accept communism? Absolutely ridiculous. In the 28 Principles of Liberty, we are told that a constitution should be structured to permanently protect people from human frailties of their rulers. Human frailties of our rulers are so rampant and so out of control right now. And we are witness and testimony to it in this very meeting. You need to be reined in, all of you, and get us back to a constitutional republic.
Okay, this number has been up here for a little bit. 670-7292. I don't know who it is. If you would unmute, it's your turn.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Tammy Barnhart, Muskegon County resident. This is the first time I'm able to get in, and I was able to do that just because Commissioner, I texted the Commissioner and got the correct passcode. So I'm happy to be here today. However, I do strongly oppose any kind of vaccine papers if that were to come about. And I strongly oppose any extension to the state of emergency. Your numbers don't support it. Muskegon has this fear that's going on that's crazy. I am spending these last 4 months in Florida where things are normal. It's unbelievable. And I talk to people back home and y'all are scared for no reason. People here are running their lives like normal. You can go to a restaurant where they aren't wearing masks to serve you or cook your food, and you don't have to wear a mask. And for the past 4 months, everything has been fine, not only for me and the community that I'm with, but also for the numbers here in Florida. There are some big box places that they strongly encourage you to wear a mask, and I'd say it's 50-50. But things are back to normal pretty much, and it's ridiculous. The numbers don't support it there. They don't support it here. I love being here. I'm wondering what the heck I'm going to come back to. That's crazy. So I do not support that. Please do not extend the state of emergency. I see absolutely no data that would support that. That's what I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Jason Hall, please.
Are we all having fun yet? I believe you can take we're not even to public comment yet. So back to the point. The restrictions for the emergency act, state of emergency, absolutely not. You just listen to your Department of Health supervisor give you the numbers. If you vote yes on this, if it's not a crime, it should be. She just gave you the numbers, and we are not in a state of emergency, or you don't care what she says and you're just calling her a liar. I don't know which. 4 years for a commissioner slot? God, no. If this passes, somebody wants to buy my house, I'll sell it, because there won't be a county left after 4 years. Please listen to what these people are saying. You have 100 people on here. You're not getting that in regular, so I'll hold that for public comment. I'll yield my time.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hall. Chad Simpson, you've already, I believe you've already spoken, and there'll be time for more comments at the end. So I think it's time to move on. The next item, there are some communications, and those are just to be placed on file. There's no action taken on those. One of those was the resolution from Genesee County to adopt 4-year terms for commissioners. As I said before, we have nothing to do with that. I don't know who does. It's probably a vote of the people or the legislature, but absolutely not us. We'll move on to committee and board reports. First up will be courts and public safety, and that would be Mrs. Pagel.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, the Courts and Public Safety met on April 3rd, 2021. It was recommended, and I move CPS 21/04-20 and CPS 21/04-21.
Support.
All right, we have a motion. It's been supported. We have a motion that's been supported. Is there any? We've already, just for anybody who's listening on the outside, we've already discussed this in the committee meeting, and they've had a pre-meeting, so this has already been pretty well vetted out. Does anybody have any questions or comments or anything on these two items? If not, we'll vote. Linda, if you could do a roll call, please.
Sure. Commissioner Hovey-Wright
Yes.
on both?
Yes, on both.
Commissioner Hughes?
Yes, on both.
Commissioner Laring?
Yes, on both.
Vice Chair Nash?
Yes, on both.
Commissioner Pagel?
Yes, on both.
Commissioner Wilkins? Commissioner Wilkins?
Yes, on both.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes, on both.
Commissioner Sear?
Yes, on both.
Chairman Skolnick?
Yes, on both.
CPS 21, I have 9 yes, 0 no. CPS 21/04-21, I have 9 yes, 0 no.
Okay, thank you, Linda.
You're welcome.
All right, the next report is Human Services. The chairman of that is Marcia Hovey-Wright. Marcia, if you'd give your report, please.
Yes, the Human Services Committee met on April 1st, 2021, and it was recommended, and I move
In the efforts of time, I will use the numbers HS 21 slash 04 dash 08, 09, and 10.
Support. Okay, there's been a motion that's been supported. One of those items had to do with the contract with Senior Resources, and our attorney is on this call. Our regular attorney, Mike, is on vacation this week. Laura, do you want to say anything about that before we vote on this?
Sure, I can speak briefly to that. The motion that's before the commission is just to enter into the 3-year grants administrator contract with Senior Resources. There was discussion at the public committee meeting on April 1st about an additional contract or other things that the county may wish to consider with Senior Resources in terms of additional allocations of funds. It's my understanding that this motion, the motion that was made and passed at the committee, and the motion before the commission today does not include that allocation. So any question of the allocation of any senior millage funds to Senior Resources would not be approved by virtue of this motion. This would simply approve the proposed 3-year contract for them to be the grants administrator, subject to the terms of the RFP and proposal.
So,
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I believe at the previous meeting, we made an amendment to this motion that had a contingency based on the contract negotiations.
Yes, it did, I believe. Let's look at the minutes. Just a minute here.
Was that, Charles, was that subject to them getting some kind of a grant for administration?
Well, it was based on us coming to an agreement with them on the negotiations, which would include that allocation discussion, but nothing would be approved until it came back to the board. So the contingency was added to the motion.
Okay, so we now have this, what's written here, up for a vote. So, which doesn't include any contingency.
Right, that's why I was stating this is not the correct motion. It should have had the contingency attached to it. We voted it through.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mrs. Pego.
I believe, if I remember correctly, Commissioner Nash added an amendment to that to have a severability clause. Because I had proposed.
Ms. Pago, according to the minutes, there was an amendment about the allocation of funds that passed, and it wasn't specific. It passed 9-1, or excuse me, 8-1. But there was, I don't see anything about severability.
You know, rather than, would it be better to table this until the next meeting? We're not gonna, I don't think it's a good idea to solve this right at this meeting right now.
I'll make a motion to table the 10.
And, Susie, table the motion to bring it back as soon as possible.
Yes, as soon as possible. This has been
That's
delayed
fine.
since January 1. So,
I'll
yeah.
amend my motion to bring it back as soon as possible.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so we have a motion to table. It's been supported. Is there any discussion on a motion to table? I don't remember. Laura, do you know?
Bear with me.
I don't think it may.
Is there any discussion on?
If there's no discussion on that, we'll just bring it back.
Well, I just want to make sure that we understand that this is really not the motion. And if we're tabling it, it should be the one with the contingency.
Well, we'll table this motion because that's what's on the agenda, and then put it off and give us another week to figure out what is correct.
Yeah, we'll need to restate the motion.
So,
okay, so I guess that means we're voting on 8 and 9 then?
oh, wait a minute, there, up on your screen, it was condition upon reaching. I think we should still table it and then just bring it back, right? It'll only take about a week. So
point of order, we have to vote on the table.
Okay, Linda, do you want to do a roll call on the tabling of this motion, please?
Sure. Chairman Hughes,
Yes.
Chairman Laring. I'm sorry, Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Pago,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown, Commissioner Seer,
Yes.
Chairman Skolnick.
Yes.
9 yes, 0 no.
Okay, so 10 is tabled. Now we need to vote on 8 and 9. So I think we need a roll call on those, Linda.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes.
on both. Vice Chair Nash,
Yes, on both.
Commissioner Pago,
Yes on 8, no on 9.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes, on both.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes, on both.
Commissioner Seer,
Yes, on both.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes, on both.
Commissioner Hughes,
Yes, on both.
Chairman Skolnick.
Yes, on both.
Mr. Chair,
08,
that,
Oh,
go ahead.
yeah, go ahead, Linda.
okay, 08, 9 yes, 0 no. 09, 8 yes, 1 no.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Hovey Wright. I appreciate that. And next up is the Ways and Means report from the Ways and Means Committee. Chair is Commissioner Seer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Ways Committee met on April 1st, 2021, and it was recommended that I move on items WM 21/04-36-37-38 and -39.
Could we have that back up on the screen, please?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
on number 39,
This table.
Ivan Phillips was going to bring back some information for that.
Yes, that was tabled until the 4th of May.
Yeah, why is it still on here? You're right.
Yeah, it is still on there. Yeah, that was. We don't have the information
Oh.
requested.
Could we ask Director Phillips if he has that information or not?
Is, Ivan Phillips, are you on the call? Okay. So it's on the agenda. So do we have to table this or just not vote on it?
Well,
It was tabled until the 4th of May. It shouldn't be on the agenda.
Tabled it. That's why I was wondering if the information was already provided because it's on the agenda on number 39.
is that
Right, I was muted. I couldn't unmute myself. I am now on. If you want me to answer to that.
Yes, go ahead, Ivan, please.
Okay, Ivan Phillips, IT Director, Muskegon County. I've only had 2 departments report back to me on the question that was brought up about are the replacement laptops or are they new laptops going to new employees that didn't have a laptop before. So I'm still waiting for 2 other departments to get back to me.
okay? So I believe, from my understanding, then this item was
tabled for May
tabled
4th.
and until what date? Marcia, do you remember what date that was?
May 4th.
May 4th.
Okay, so we're waiting to hear back from IT so that we can have all that information by May 4th, okay?
Yeah, the question is, what do we do with this then?
We don't even have to have the discussion that we never voted to remove the table, so it's not on the agenda. Yeah, let's pretend.
Well, you guys approved the agenda. I was the only no vote.
Thank you.
If I may, I don't believe that this is specifically on the agenda. I think the agenda that you approved just says Ways and Means Committee, if that's at all helpful. If the board just wants to consider the ones that were referred up by committee.
That makes sense.
Could I make the motion to approve 36, 37, and 38?
Yes.
Second.
That's perfect. Okay. All right, so what we're voting on is 36, 37, and 38. Commissioner Seer, do you want to go ahead and do that?
Is there any discussion on those 3 items? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes on all three.
Commissioner Pagel,
Yes, on all three.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes, on all three.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes, on all three.
Commissioner Seer,
Yes on all three.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes, on all three.
Commissioner Hughes,
Yes on all three.
Commissioner Laring,
Yes on 36 and 38, no on 37.
Chairman Skolnick.
Yes on all three.
9 yes, 0 no on 36, 8 yes, 1 no on 37, 9 yes, 0 no on 38.
Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you, Chairman Seer. All right, moving on. Item 11 is the chairman's report and committee liaison reports. Before I move on, does anyone have any liaison reports from their other outside committee assignments? I was hoping there would be some to put off this next item for a little while, but we'll move ahead. Okay, the next item is the extension of the local state of emergency. I'm going to ask our attorney to speak on that. And then well, I'll do it after. Laura, would you please talk about this extension of the local state of emergency?
Sure, I'd be happy to provide some information about the statute and the declaration, and in so doing, perhaps respond to some of the concerns and thoughts that were raised during public comment as it relates specifically to the scope of local state of emergency under the statute. The chairperson's declaration is under Section 10 of the Emergency Management Act, which relates to the powers of counties and municipalities in emergencies. The statutory reference is MCL 30.410 if anyone wants to follow along at home. What Section 10 does is gives different powers to counties to deal with emergencies. And those powers exist regardless of the existence of a local state of emergency. Only subsection 1B deals with the local state of emergency. Other parts of that section authorize the county to appropriate and expend funds, provide for health and safety, direct and coordinate multi-agency responses, and a number of other things. But what we're looking at today is that section 1B, B as in boy, of section 10 of the Emergency Management Act. And that provides that a county can declare a local state of emergency. And what that covers under that subsection is it allows the county to issue directives as to travel restrictions on county or local roads. This power is vested in the chief executive official of the county and may not be or shall not be continued or renewed for a period in excess of 7 days, except with the consent of the governing body of the county. So what that means is that the chairperson had the authority, and I'm going to talk about how this relates to electronic meetings, bear with me, but the chairperson had the authority to declare that state of emergency, and regardless of any date that it says in there, it's only effective for 7 days unless it is confirmed by the County Board of Commissioners, which is why it is here before the board today. It was issued on March 31st, so that 7 days will expire tomorrow, Wednesday, April 7th. So the statute only speaks to that limited authority related to travel, but what the Michigan legislature has done in amending the Open Meetings Act is provide an option for public bodies to continue holding electronic meetings if there is a local state of emergency in the location where the meeting is held. So it's my understanding that that is what has precipitated this declaration of a local state of emergency, which other communities have done as well to address the electronic meeting situation. So under the Open Meetings Act in sections 3 and 3A, as most recently amended, prior to March 31st of this year, public bodies could hold electronic meetings for any reason. There did not have to be a state of emergency. March 31st and forward, the public body can only hold its electronic meeting electronically, completely electronically, meaning that all the board members are electronic if there is a local state of emergency. the law still allows that if you have a member who has a medical condition that precludes them from attending in person, or they're away on military duty, that they could still attend remotely. But in terms of members of the board attending electronically after March 31st, there has to be a local state of emergency. Where communities have struggled with this issue is the fact that there are still capacity limits for in-person meetings. Now, the state in the MDHHS epidemic order amendment from March 31st took out the 25-person max limit, but there are still limits based on the size of the meeting room, and that's 50% of the fire marshal capacity. So if you are in a meeting room, whatever that capacity may be, half of that, if you have more people show up than you have capacity for in that meeting room, then you either have to cancel the meeting or relocate it to a larger venue, perhaps outdoors, where there's obviously a much greater capacity allowed. A hybrid meeting would still, I'm speaking without a local state of emergency, it may still be possible to allow the public to access the meeting.
We lost you.
We lost you, Laura.
Hybrid meeting.
Laura, I don't know if you can hear, but maybe can you refresh your computer?
Hang on. I apologize. Can you hear me?
Yes.
And
yes, we
now-
can-
All right.
Can now.
Sorry about that. If you have more people, if you have an option for electronic public attendance and in-person public attendance, and more people show up than capacity, there are Open Meetings Act issues with turning anyone away in person and saying they have to go out to their car and connect electronically or something like that. So those are the issues that have arisen through the Open Meetings Act amendments that have prompted discussions among a lot of communities around the state. So the local state of emergency is a way that allows you to have the option to hold meetings electronically. So they can be held in this kind of format, but it does not require anyone to hold meetings electronically either. So the existence of the local state of emergency would provide the option, but not an obligation. I wanted to note that nothing in this local declaration of state of emergency would affect county buildings, county parks, county venues, schools within the county, or anything like that. Its impact is very narrow. It is not a lockdown or a shutdown. So those are the thoughts that I had in looking at this. I'm happy to address questions from the board.
Or, excuse me, may I?
You gotta speak over there.
Oh, Laura, the last thing we heard is you said hybrid meetings and without emergency. That was the last word we heard, so.
Okay, yeah, I can go back over that part again. Correct me if I start saying things you did already hear. Without a local state of emergency, we believe you likely can have an electronic participation option for the public. But the problem with that is you still can't turn people away if they want to be there in person. So if you have 100 people show up in person, but your capacity limit, I don't know what it is, let's say it's 30, meaning the actual fire marshal capacity, 50% of that, you would have to cancel the meeting or move it. You could not simply tell those people to go connect remotely. So it's possible that you would only have a handful of people show up in person, but it's also possible that you'd run into that issue. The other thing I wanted to point out is with the board would have to be in person again, unless a member was away on military service or a medical condition that prevented them from being there in person. And for any in-person meeting, the order does require face coverings and social distancing. And so if a family comes in together, they can be together, but they need to be 6 feet away from other groups. So you also have to plan your seating accordingly.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Laura, what if a commissioner refuses to wear a mask, then what?
Well, the order requires it. So you can read the MDHHS order for what the penalties are for that. I think violations of the order are a misdemeanor. How that's enforced on a local level is up to local law enforcement, but that is what the order requires.
Okay, but Laura, if I could just follow up with this, if there are members of the board that refuse to wear masks, then the one option is to do them remotely like we're doing.
Well, certainly if you're remote, you don't have to wear a mask. I am not wearing one sitting in my home right now. So you would not have that issue with electronic meetings.
Okay. All right, does anybody else? I think that pretty much explains it. So just for the benefit of people who are on this call, we are not affecting schools. We're not making people wear masks. We're not affecting businesses. We're not doing anything other than allowing not only electronic meetings for us, but just to make sure I've got this correct, but that also lets other municipalities do it and other organizations that receive tax funds, such as museums, the West Michigan Shoreline Redevelopment Commission. There's lots of them.
So if I can speak to that, Bob, and I'm glad
Yes.
you mentioned that because I had that in my notes and didn't say it. Yes, this would allow public bodies who meet within the county to meet electronically without, some of them cannot probably declare their own state of emergency, but it would allow townships and cities, for example, regardless of whether they've declared their own state of emergency, would allow them to use the electronic meeting option under the Open Meetings Act.
Okay, and we have nothing to do with vaccine passports. I've heard that over
No,
and over
sir.
again. I mean, we have no right to do that, and I don't want one either. We're not shutting the county down. We're not closing any roads down. But we require this local state of emergency just to make this little option available to us and the other municipalities.
Correct. Nothing about this relates to a vaccine requirement or anything like that.
Anything. Okay, Marcia?
Yeah, I would,
We haven't had a motion on the floor to debate.
Okay, well,
at what point, I wanted to make a friendly amendment, so
Well-
whenever that's
well,
appropriate.
somebody needs to make, I can make the motion to extend the local state of emergency.
I'll support that motion.
Through December 31st, and then, okay, I have support. That local state of emergency can be revoked at any time. So it could be revoked in tomorrow, or it doesn't make any difference. We just had to put an end date on it. It could have been a week, it could have been 3 months, it could have been the end of the year.
But we meet every week. Why wouldn't you do it week by week?
Commissioner Skolnick, I do have a comment if I could.
Yes, go ahead, Susie.
I'd just like to say that I appreciate my township supervisor speaking up during public comment. And I know that this is a real concern for not only my township, but other townships too, as they're trying to keep their people safe. And we do have a situation at Muskegon Township where our people have been exposed to COVID. And we do have one of our elected officials' family member that has it right now. So it's very important to us to have something like this. And I appreciate my supervisor speaking up in support. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a comment.
Yes, go ahead, Charles.
Well, first of all, I wanted to sincerely thank you and our corporate counsel on working on this together. I think this is a very thought through plan, and it's good for Muskegon County. If we listen to what our corporate counsel just explained to us, this could really cause us some serious problems moving forward. Not only with our county meetings and the amount of people that could show up, but it could disrupt us being able to conduct the business of the county. And I think that that is just as critical as anything else. So when you look at this overall, we're only dealing with the situations of these meetings, even looking at a hybrid situation, that could also be disruptive to the county. So I just believe that this is a smart move. And I just wanted to commend you and our corporate counsel on working through this and the information that's been provided. And I don't think there's any fear mongering. I just think that this is, smart and in general for not only us, but for other municipalities around the area. And they get to choose to do what they want to do. So I'm fully in support of this.
Mrs. Hovey, right?
Yes, I would agree with Commissioner Nash. This is a reasonable thing to do, given the 53% increase in cases in Muskegon County. I don't, what we're experiencing is a result of a variant that is it spreads very easily. And in order to get this whole thing under control and get back to normal and doing the things we all want to do and not having to wear masks, we need to do this temporarily. And I emphasize temporarily. I must admit, when I read this at first and I saw the end date being December 31st, I'm like, wait a minute. But I think if we add a friendly amendment that says until the risk of COVID spread is less dangerous, pending consultation with the public health director, so that people feel that this isn't going to go on forever. I think that just kind of clarifies things. So at the point that you're ready for a friendly amendment, I'll make that.
Mrs. Hovey, right, that,
Yeah.
I don't think, I understand what you're trying to do, but we already can repeal this at any moment.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
but people are still scared by it because it says, I mean, I can withdraw that, but I just think that people will be more comfortable with it if there's some parameters to the repeal.
Thank you, Marcia. I appreciate your consideration and tutelage.
Okay.
Comment when you're,
Mr. Laring, did you want to say something?
yes, sir. Thank you. So number one, we're just about to enter tourist season. And if Muskegon County is going to declare a state of emergency for no emergency, what does that tell people that want to visit this county? It sends a broad signal that we have a crisis here, which we do not. It is fear mongering, and it sends a signal. Kathy Moore, when you did this last week without discussion on the board, Kathy Moore fielded calls from all of the schools. People don't get the accurate information. They see a state of emergency. Why would I want to go to any county, city, or state that has a state of emergency to go there? We're just about to enter tourism, and this is going to make national news. Secondly, I asked the entire board to address the issue or investigate the issue of the lesser magistrate. And now we've got to act as a lesser magistrate against our county board chair. This is inappropriate to declare a state of emergency when there clearly is not one. Please look into the idea or the concept of a lesser magistrate. Second, people call in. We don't get to see their face. We don't get to see their physical stature. You're not intimidated by somebody on a phone call when they call in and you can't see their face. They don't get to gouge you with their finger and point their finger in your address their grievances with you. This is completely inappropriate. Secondly, I want to address the lack of foresight with this board. Excluding 3 new commissioners on this board, you were all addressed with this idea of a hybrid last year. You soundly rejected it and said that I was fear-mongering and putting people in danger by even suggesting a hybrid board, hybrid meeting. Second, so I brought it back up under the Board of Public Works. Again, you soundly rejected this idea. We could have dealt with this in advance, well in advance. We could have addressed our legislator and said, hey, we need to amend this. They have put a procedure in here for a hybrid meeting. I strongly appreciate all of the public comment that we get through this Zoom app, but I want to see their face when they call in. And if they want to point their finger at us, and that's what they need to be doing, and we need to recognize that. Just a voice over a phone is inappropriate. But we could do a hybrid. And if we do have a Zoom meeting, we could open up another room. We have plenty of space in the county because we're still at this work share program, which I ridiculously oppose. But they could go to another room and Zoom it to another room. There is no reason we can't just do the hybrid option. There is no reason for you guys to be sitting at home. I talked to our senator. I asked him to amend the Opens Meeting Act, and his flat out response, if it even comes before him, he will vote against it. He wants you to get your butts back in your chair and go to work. This idea of whether or not we're wearing a mask, it's a proven fact that masks do not work. The analogy of trying to stop a mosquito with a chain link fence, it sounds ridiculous, but it's appropriate. They don't do anything but cause a high rate of pneumonia in the people wearing masks. It's ridiculous that you would suggest we wear a mask, that I would infect myself with pneumonia to protect you. If you think these masks work, you put it on. The evidence doesn't support the vaccine. Half of you have all clamored to get your vaccine, and there is absolutely no evidence that the vaccine does anything to stop the spread of COVID. This is a ridiculous emergency order that you just would extend on in perpetuity. What are you going to do, December 2021, instead of addressing this thing through your legislator? Are you just going to extend it on till December 31st of 2022 so you can sit home in your chairs? I'm pissed off, as you can tell, and I am a strong no against this. And the idea of a 4-year commissioner, I hope that they vote every one of you out that support this. Thank you.
Okay, I just would note that Ottawa County, Kent County, 38 other counties also enacted states of emergency. So I guess there's something wrong with all of them. I suggest you go visit every one of those counties and make that same speech, and maybe they'll change their mind.
83.
So I'd like to address that issue. Thank you for
No,
correcting.
that's enough. I mean,
No.
you had a long talk and it's fine.
You've addressed my comment by another comment. I get to address that. So all I can say is if Ottawa County jumps off a bridge, would you do it too?
You know, I'm not going to get into it here, but I mean, when you say other counties, many of those counties are tiny and they're all one party. And you can't compare those to a pretty good sized urban county like we are. I mean, I had somebody call me today and say that one of the states was wide open and everybody, you know, they were all fine. They were getting along great. I said, what state is it? She said, South Dakota. Well, I've been in South Dakota. There's less people in South Dakota than there is in Grand Rapids. So anyway, all right, is anybody else? I know it's an emotional issue. And I want to say this, if you think that I am enjoying this and liking it when people are angry about some of these decisions, I am not. I would much rather have people say how great it is. And I counted the number of people. Yes, there was quite a few more no's than yeses on this. I was just keeping track of the calls. But unfortunately, when people are satisfied, they don't say much. So that's just the way it is. I'm just making that as a statement, the silent majority. I don't know what's right. I know what I think is right. This is my intention, is to look at this every week. And if it looks like we can stop, and I'm going to look at I'm going to ask Kathy Moore to give me the information from the other counties, the surrounding counties. And when it looks like we can stop, and if it's in a couple of weeks, I do appreciate, Mr. Laring, your comment about we're going into tourist season. You're right. If there's a state of emergency, it doesn't sound very interesting. But all we need to do right now, I mean, I wish there was another name for it, because we're not doing anything except having video meetings for those who want to do video meetings. It's simple. We're not doing anything.
It's called a hybrid. Corporate counsel already addressed it. We could do it. We don't have to go through this procedure. We could do it right now today. You just have to come back to the boardroom and sit in your chair.
Okay, then Laura, could you do a little research?
If I can,
on that and get me a
the
report
caveat
on
to
that?
that certainly is if you have an in-person meeting, you cannot turn anyone away who wants to be there in person. You cannot force them to participate electronically. So just whatever the board decides, just be aware if you have 100 people show up and you cannot hold that capacity, you cannot force them to attend remotely. So you would be just needing to perhaps move outside, weather permitting, or to a larger venue, which you can do. But I just wanted to provide that caveat.
We only have capacity for 75, so we're going to have to do that anyways. If we have large turnout. The room holds 75. You're going to cut it in half to 35. You have that same issue. Don't use the word of 100 people showing up when the room capacity is only 75. We never have that kind of public in here anyways, unless it's a hot ticket issue, and which this would clearly be. And then we moved it to a facility where we can facilitate these extra people. And since I've been a commissioner, when I first started, we never had public participation. We do now, and I'm thankful for it. I'm thankful for Zoom, but I also want to do this appropriately. There is no state of emergency.
when we had the issue, when we had the issue with the lease for Planned Parenthood, there was close to 600 people at that meeting.
Right.
And I don't know where you even, you'd have to do that in a football stadium.
Don't bring issues like this to us, then we won't have those kind of numbers.
You know, that's a great idea. Okay.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to call for the question.
Yes, okay. I think we're done. We'll have a roll call vote, please. Linda?
Commissioner Pagel,
No.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes, for the moment. I have a question.
She has a question.
Oh, yes, Rollestein, go ahead.
Yes,
So-
I think that we need more time to even talk about the words that we want in this. We're voting on something and it's all up in the air and thoroughly confusing.
Well, it's if we don't vote on it today, it expires and then we go back, everything is in person. So,
Yeah,
Tomorrow.
and we'll have to cancel meetings because too many people will show up.
Yeah.
so Rollestein, what is, you're up for a vote. You want to come, Linda?
yes.
Why don't you, let's go around and you'll go back to Rollestein, please.
Sure.
Philistine, he's got this all the way to the end of the year.
Commissioner Brown,
No.
Commissioner Seer,
No.
Commissioner Hovey Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Hughes,
Yes.
Commissioner Laring,
No.
Vice Chair Nash,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins,
Yes.
Chairman Skolnick.
Yes.
5 yes, 4 no.
Okay. The next item is, look at this, administrator's report. Mark is on vacation this week. Beth is the administrator for the week. Beth, did you want to talk about the audit update?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just wanted to update the board that the county completed its audit and by the March 31st deadline, all reports were submitted to the state and other required agencies by the deadline. And you will be getting a hard copy of that audit report, hopefully by the end of this week, if not early next week before next Tuesday, when our auditors will be presenting the results of that audit report to you at the Ways and Means Committee meeting.
Beth, would you get that to us in time so that if we have questions for the auditors, we can ask them?
Yes, I've asked them, supposedly the hard copies will be delivered tomorrow. And we'll try to get those out to everyone prior to, or get them out by the end of this week. But you should have received an electronic version, a PDF version of the audit reports. I emailed those to you last Thursday, I believe it was.
I did get that. Thank you.
Beth, you might want to just mention why you had to wait for the Health West audit to be done.
Yes. So that I had given you a update on that a couple weeks ago. We were concerned about Health West getting their audit done in time for the county's audit to be completed. That did happen. They were able to get their reports done and filed by last week, Monday. And then we turned it around and got ours done by Tuesday, and everything was filed by the end of the day on Wednesday.
Beth, I want to thank you for seeing that happened, because I know that's something you were, I know you didn't want to turn it in late or ask for an extension, but it's fantastic. You did great work on that.
Thank you very much.
Unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business? Is there any new business? All right, now we have time for public comment again. So, all right, Angela Bush. You're gonna have to unmute it, Angela.
Hi there. I just want to say I live in Norton Shores, and Bob, you're my commissioner, and I know we've spoken, and I am just thoroughly upset. I'm disgusted. I'm borderline irate at this point that you're not listening to the people that have taken the time to be on here for 2 hours. I should have been traveling to listen to everyone else, and you unilaterally made a decision that majority of people that called in were against. We don't want it. And you keep saying it doesn't have to be through December, then why did you? I mean, is it late? It sounds like it's laziness. This is all about convenience for a Zoom meeting. You keep saying it's just about a meeting and doing Zoom. Your convenience and you people being lazy, not wanting to show up is not a reason to have a declaration from Muskegon County, and we will make news. We're going to be on the news for declaring it a state of emergency in Muskegon. My parents in Florida, along with everybody else, are going to be embarrassed that they're going to be calling me going, really? What's going on in Muskegon? Our tourism, how it looks, not to mention the people that live here aren't in fear. You're not fear of COVID. You're not fear of contracting it. It's simply convenience. And it is so pathetic that you guys just did this to our county. We live here. This is my county. I live here. My family's here. I'm sorry about what's convenient for you. And you better believe you will never get my vote again because my voice doesn't feel heard. And I know I speak for many, not a silent majority. I speak for many. I am so disappointed that you don't hear us. You don't seem to care. And this is about your convenience about a Zoom meeting. Muskegon County is not in an emergency.
Do we have a timer going?
Yeah, we need a timer. We need a timer on
Well, we
this.
need for you to listen to the people. You guys are lazy. It's unbelievable. You dismiss what people say because you don't care.
Okay,
I'm done. Pointless anyway.
thank you for your comments. Karen Palmer. Ken Palmer, please unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yes. We can hear
I
you.
agree with what she's. Okay, I agree with what she's just said. As I mentioned before, you have a choice. You chose to violate our rights rather than protect our constitutional rights to an open meeting, as is determined by the Constitution and the intentions of the Open Meetings Act. I'm disappointed in the 5 of you who voted to extend a state of emergency, which is not necessary, in order to make it more convenient for you. I'm going to stop there. Last week, I made a request to the county clerk to clarify whether private funds provided by Mark Zuckerberg charities were used here in the county at all. The allegations made by the Amistad Project, AMISTAD, of the Thomas More Society are that this type of funding was used in several states, including Michigan, to benefit one party's candidates over another, in this case, in favor of the Democrats. This is illegal. I ask a second time for a public notice by the county clerk to answer the question of whether private charity funds were used in Muskegon County elections and what that contract entailed, if anything. I hereby request that the minutes reflect my request to include the name of Mark Zuckerberg Charities, Amistad Project, and Thomas More Society. Thank you for that. I oppose the concept of a vaccine passport. The reason this is brought up today had nothing to do with your extension, except that we can see that you don't seem to care much about our constitutional rights. So we want a resolution to ban the concept of a vaccine passport. Today, I learned that the WHO rejects the concept because it's unclear whether the injections prevent transmission of COVID-19. Texas says cases are dropping despite the drop of distancing and masking requirements. They banned the concept of a vaccine passport. I also have a problem with the descriptor of vaccine, which you included in your resolution, by the way, which is a lie. Could the chairperson and other commissioners—
Time is up.
Oh, of course.
Okay, Ken Hildebrandt. Unmute, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Yeah. So, so much for representing the people. I don't know where this comment of representing the people comes in, and this comment about the silent majority. If they're silent, how the hell do you know what they're saying? We're here right now, involved in this meeting, telling you how we think, and you turned a deaf ear on it. 98%, at least of the people on this call, voice their opinion on how they feel. And you chose not to listen. That's it.
Okay. Jason Hall. Unmute, please.
Okay, now we're at public comment. I started off my earlier asking if you're having fun yet. You've got concerned citizens that are stepping up right now who care. You keep poking them and you poke them and you poke them. What are you going to do when they don't care? You did a resolution or emergency state action under closing roads. And then you say, we're not even going to close any roads. We just need to do this so we can use a loophole. You just use power to do what you wanted to do. You just showed everybody on this call who you are. You don't care about what people are saying, let alone constitutional rights. Yeah, you've got a city attorney or county attorney there saying she's doing the legal where the commas, semicolons are. She's protecting her butt too. She told you what it was. So what roads you gonna close, Bob? You're not gonna close any roads. You're not listening to babe. You got 100 people on this call. Wait till they're pissed. And you've got 1,000 people sitting there. You don't get to cancel the meeting. You have to move it. You don't get to cancel. You have to move it to a new facility. Then there'll be 2,000 people there. Then 3,000. Then what are you going to do for this county? This county's falling apart because of who's on this board and how you guys are running it. And I don't blame these people for being pissed. Excuse my language. I'll yield the rest of my time.
Okay, Christina Parks.
Hello. I would just like to express my disappointment in what I see as a very vague resolution. I think it's very important for Muskegon County to stand up and to be known as one that follows the science and has clear, defined parameters. You know, you need to say that when case numbers fall below a certain place, we won't have an emergency order. Otherwise, why aren't we having it for the flu? Why don't we have it if so many people get cancer? What, you know, there are many different options. And so for all you know, we have rights, freedoms. And so we go out in public. If I attend a board meeting and I see 100 people there, they may all be on ivermectin, which prevents transmission. You don't know, maybe they've already had it and they're immune. So if people have a concern, it's their personal responsibility to find the resources, whether in their mind, informed consent to take a vaccine or to get ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine or use budesonide, or I've even heard Flonase might prevent it. I don't know, but to talk with their doctor and manage their own health care. It is not the job of this commission to manage all of our health care for us. And so I think it sets an extremely bad precedence to come forward with a resolution like this with a very indeterminate endpoint a year out, and also no parameters for what would constitute not an emergency anymore. And so that really reeks of government overreach. We already have a public that's distrustful of government, and now you're coming in with this overreach. I highly suggest that you really look at the science and step forward. This virus is not going away. It's going to come back in many different variants, and the vaccine will not protect. So you need to start informing your constituents that they need to take vitamin D, talk with their doctor about ivermectin. You need to lead instead of hiding. Thank you.
Okay, Marissa Wodarski. Unmute, please, Marissa.
Hi, this is Brenda again. I first want to address that Kent County does a hybrid for the meetings there. So the people that are uncomfortable, they can do a Zoom. The other people can go in person. I do want people to stop blaming COVID on deaths caused by cancer, diabetes, heart, CHF, COPD, any underlying diseases. The average age for COVID is 80 years old. So once again, this is all public knowledge. This is all facts. And I also request that you guys talk to experts. Doctors are not vaccine experts nor mask experts. Use the experts that go in their field and get the evidence, because I really want to know what studies you're looking at. I yield the rest of my time, and shame on you guys.
Okay, Mr. Smith.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, first, I say I'm ashamed of you, all of you. Only 4 people had the guts enough to vote for what the people wanted. You're not listening to the people. You don't care about the people, is what it sounds like. It just, because you're too afraid to publicly meet with the people who put you in that office, the people who pay your wages. It's ridiculous. There's no excuse for this whatsoever. If you're afraid to meet with the people in public, then resign out of that office. There is no excuse for you to be there. None of you. It's just shameful. There is not enough cases in Muskegon County to warrant any type of emergency. Other states, Texas has opened up and cases are dropping. Florida's opened up, cases are dropping. There's like 18 different states now that are opened up and cases are dropping. Michigan, we keep getting more because we get tighter lockdowns all the time, which is stupid. And you people, you listen to the people that are in Muskegon County. They're telling you don't do this. They're all opposed to it. 90-some-odd% of the people today has told you they're opposed to it. You just ignore them and go on with what you want to do because it's convenient for you. You weren't put in office to be what was convenient for you. You were put in office to serve us. If you can't do it, resign and get out of there. We'll get people who can. Thank you.
Okay, Dirk Chilcote. Dirk, if you could, there you go.
I'm not going to say too much. I'm really upset. And I don't want to say bad things. But for you not to do your job because you're afraid to get a virus, that's terrible. I mean, get in there and get your meetings, do a hybrid. Stop talking about this stuff and start doing stuff to make Muskegon County better than what it has been. I left here when I was 18 years old. I'm now 60 and still nothing's gotten better in Muskegon County. You guys need to listen to the people, do what they want you to do, and stop playing games. That's it. I'm mad.
Okay, thank you, sir. Nathan Silva.
Yes, thanks, Commissioner Skolnick. Yeah, I just wanted to voice my opinion on the extension of the state of emergency here in Muskegon County. I think it's a real disgrace. Shame on those who voted to extend that. It's clear there is no state of emergency by any definition. And I'd ask you guys to really think about, the oath that you all took to uphold the Constitution, including our rights to peaceably assemble and to petition our government for redress of grievances. So I'm from Eggleston Township. I want to recognize Commissioner Pago, at least for doing the right thing, voting to end that. And secondly, I want to say, as many others have stated, I want to call for a ban on the implementation of vaccine passports in Muskegon County. They are divisive, they are discriminatory. We don't need to create a state of medical apartheid in Muskegon County. Our medical decisions are between us and our doctor, and our constitutional rights need to be respected. So I would humbly ask that you guys consider banning any such vaccine passports. Thanks, and I'll yield the rest of my time.
Thank you, sir. Kevin Hahn. Kevin, please unmute. You can speak.
Hi again, Maya Hahn. I am so disappointed about the decision made by the commissioners. The unanimous testimonies from your constituents regarding the continued state of emergency was very clear. Obviously, you are not working for the people. I would love to know what kind of financial incentives you all had to make the decisions that you did today. I plan to FOIA the heck out of you. I want you all, 5 of you, unseated from your positions for not representing the people. It is clear and concise what you guys are up to. The people of Muskegon have spoken and you did not listen. I am ashamed. I hope that you all never hold a position of power again in a representative position for the people. This whole statement, Bob, that you made saying the silent majority is obviously a majority is unbelievable. Unbelievable. You, Mr., are a fraud, a shame, a sham. You are hurting people. You are hurting individuals with special needs. You are hurting businesses. And to wipe out the civic duty of the constituents to be able to participate in their meetings in person, that is your excuse? What a joke. I yield my time. Good day.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Chad Simpson.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to make a comment. You guys said that you guys weren't gonna stop any businesses from opening up or anything like that. I beg to differ. When you declare a state of emergency, our tyrant governor is not gonna lift the mandates for masks or opening businesses with people declaring state of emergency. You guys just killed my best friend. All right. He cannot go and see his doctor. He was perfectly fine. He had a heart attack. All right. And because of this lockdown, he wasn't able to get his meds. He had a stroke. He can barely talk, barely walk, barely function. I'm taking care of him right now. All right. He can't go and get the medical treatment because of this lockdown. With this state of emergency, these lockdowns will not be lifted and he will die. You guys, I'm very ashamed of you guys. I lived in Muskegon County. I moved to Newaygo because of Muskegon. The way Muskegon is getting destroyed is unbelievable. I cannot believe what you guys are doing. You guys cannot refuse people joining the meeting anyways. So what does it matter? You didn't have to declare a state of emergency. Where are you guys going to get money? It isn't even about the money really, but the income the revenue that you guys could have gotten for this summer for tourist attractions and stuff, you guys are going to lose it. How are you guys going to get your income for your pay? Everything is shut down. I can't believe it. I cannot believe it. I hope you guys overturn this very soon. I really do. I yield my time.
Thank you, Mr. Simpson. Patrick Finnegan. Patrick, if you would unmute, please.
Thank you, Chairman Swank. Patrick Finnegan, District Court Administrator for the 60th District Court here in Muskegon. I did want to raise my hand just to provide the board with an update on the status of the courts as it pertains to our return to full capacity. We did receive correspondence from the State Court Administrative Office this morning requesting that we review closely the COVID-19 data in Muskegon County as it applies to the Supreme Court order regarding return to full capacity. And after consultation with the public health director and the chief judges, both of the chief judges did execute a local administrative order today that will return the Muskegon County courts back to phase 1, which unfortunately is the more restrictive of the phases. So I did want to just provide the board with an update. And when it comes to final board comments, if anyone has any questions, or I can provide some more insight on just what that means, I'll be happy to do that at that time. But I wanted to let you know that that is taking effect tomorrow.
Okay, thank you, Patrick. Next up, Chris Kyla. Chris, unmute, please.
Can you hear me, Bob?
Yes, I can, Chris. Go ahead.
Thank you. First, I want to address something to the county clerk. I know that there are 143,000 voters in this county, according to her records, on the results of the election, last election. But it seems to be incorrect because there's only about 140,000 adults in the county right now, according to the 2010 census. And that means that there should only be about 100,000 people able to vote. If that's the case, and we had 92,000 voting, we didn't have 67% turnout. We had a much higher percentage than that. So I'd like her to review these records and clean the rolls so we have an accurate number of active voter registrations. And since she's not doing that, I want to address the same thing to the commission. It's clear that you guys did this for your own personal safety and for your own personal fears. And I think that you should be responsible to the citizens and overlook those things because you're supposed to be serving us. So I think this was unfortunate that you did this, and you are going to hurt businesses. You're going to hurt people. You're going to create a state of fear. Continue that. That's unnecessary right now. And I'd like to see with the deaths that occur, if any of those occurred because of meetings. I imagine that the people that die in this county from COVID don't die because they came to a commissioner meeting or some other meeting. Everyone should be taking care of themselves with masks and distancing and being cautious with their own health. I think the commissioners should allow us to have the responsibility to do that on our own. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Michelle Mixup, please unmute and you have the stage.
Hi, my name is Michelle Mixa, and I'm a resident of District 9. Commissioner Skolnick, I am so happy to hear that you oppose vaccine passports. As a citizen of Muskegon County, I'm very concerned about the so-called vaccine passport that is being rolled out by governments and businesses here in the United States. I'm very concerned about the violation of medical privacy rights these passports require. They are the epitome of discrimination and limit the ability of free and healthy people to interact normally within society without either divulging private information or being coerced into an experimental medical procedure. Additionally, these vaccine passports do not take into consideration the large number of people in the county who have gotten and recovered from COVID-19 and therefore have natural immunity. Please note, this is not an anti-vaccination issue. This is a freedom of medical choice and privacy issue. This falls well within the protection of my body, my choice. The fact is that vaccine passports are knocking at the door of Muskegon County. They are currently being used in at least one location in Detroit. I cannot imagine that commissioners on our board would do nothing and allow the discrimination and deep societal split within the boundaries of Muskegon County that will come with these passports. By oath, it is the duty of each and every one of you to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America. Our right to privacy is protected by the Fourth Amendment of the Bill of Rights. This right also includes our right to medical privacy and therefore the right for healthy people to engage in society freely. It is not enough to wait and see which businesses and government offices deny access based on private medical decisions and then act. It is prudent to act now so our rights are protected. I am calling upon the commissioners to pass a resolution that protects our medical freedom and privacy by banning the use of any type of social passport in government buildings, businesses, public spaces, and places of employment in Muskegon County. Take action now to prevent the vaccine passports from being enacted in our county. It is your duty. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much. Sandra Cross. Sandra, unmute, please.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
This is Sandra Cross. I'm in Fruitland Township. I am also asking that you protect our rights by passing a resolution to ban vaccine passports, the use of those in government buildings, businesses, and places of employment in Muskegon County. The vaccine passport is unconstitutional. It violates our right to privacy, medical freedom, and bodily autonomy. All of these rights are constitutionally protected. any type of social passport is discriminatory. For those of you that support and fight for a woman's right to choose regarding abortion, it would be totally hypocritical for you to support a vaccine passport. My body, my choice. Thank you for considering this and passing a resolution to ban vaccine passports in Muskegon County. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sandra. Carrie Knight, please, unmute and you have the microphone.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, this is to the 5 of you that voted against this, well, for this actually, for obviously being very discriminatory. You obviously don't care about the will of the people. You're going to do what you want to do. You guys are fear-mongering the people by doing this. The people that don't know, understand, or what's going on, all they see is that you're shutting it down. They don't understand why, because they have not seen the numbers, they have not seen the science, but people want to keep on going. All right, so also, since when do you have the right to suspend the Constitution of the United States? If you look at the First Amendment, it says that the people have the right to assemble and to petition the government against its grievances. And also, the biggest piece of paper that makes our country so great and makes us what we are, says right here, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their creator, that's not the government, just an FYI, with certain unalienable rights, that many, these are life, liberty, and a pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That means the people that have voted for you, we're in charge. We tell you what to do, you do it. I don't care how you feel about it, but obviously it's really, really against you people. You guys really need to think about this. That when any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is a right of the people to alter or abolish it and to institute a new government. So here's a fair warning, people. The 5 of you that voted against the people, you will be losing your seats. And I really, really look forward to voting against you all. You guys have a great day. I yield the rest of my time.
Okay, thank you very much. I've got one person who's been on the phone for a while and can't raise their hand for some reason. It's a 517 number. It is
Ellen Beal.
Ellen Beal. Ellen, can you unmute and talk? You want to say something? I got a message. You've been waiting and waiting and you can't raise your hand. No, maybe she can't do it because she's not on the call properly. Okay, Tim Klein. Unmute, please. It's your turn.
All right. This is Tim Klein. As stated earlier, I'm a U.S. Air Force Lieutenant Colonel, resident of Northern Shores of Muskegon since 2006. I took an oath and I continue to uphold that oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. And let me make this very clear, Bob, especially to you, against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And for the 5 of you that voted for this, you are severely trying my patience. I heard the legal counsel discussion, and I see that many of the commissioners operating in fear or out of pure laziness. I understand the desire to want to allow Zoom and remote meetings, and I'm not opposed to that, but none of you have addressed when this ends. There will always be an excuse to kick this down the road in the name of public safety. I thank Commissioner Laring for addressing this on my behalf. Bob Skolnick, as my commissioner, I am so infuriated with your continued ineptitude. I've been in and out of Brevard County, Florida. That is a county with 600,000 plus people. Do you understand how many that is? That's more than 4 times that in Muskegon. And oh, by the way, it's half the area. It's mask-free, not social distance. Everyone is just fine at managing their lives. And I am thoroughly upset with those of you that voted for this state of emergency. Your 5's morality is astounding. We're active majority, not the silent majority. They're all here waiting for you on this meeting. There are therapeutics that are effective and we are using them. There's no reason for this. I called for a ban of vaccine passports and request that the resolution pass to ban them from Muskegon County. Commissioner Skolnick, I've already told you this once. Be advised that your voicemail box is full, and with you not answering either your phone nor emails, nor listening to us on this call, You are not listening to your constituents and are forcing us to address you openly in public. Be advised that if you do not reach out to us, we will seek to have you removed from office for failure to fulfill your oath and obligations. I am furious that this board is acting so disrespectful to this constituents. I will work tirelessly to remove you from office. If everybody else on here doesn't like this, join me at Muskegon and Ottawa County Business for supporting freedom of choice on Facebook.
Okay, time's up, sir. Ryan Bennett, please.
Good afternoon, commissioners. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, Ryan Bennett, Twin Lake, Michigan. Just wanted to call and thank the 5 commissioners who voted to instate this resolution to continue to meet by Zoom. I've listened to a lot of the public comments here today, most of which public comment was on, they took part in public comment at the beginning and now at the end of the meeting. And they continue to gripe about their inability to petition their government when I've sat there and listened to them say the same things in both public comments. So I think that is a reach. To the silent majority comment, I haven't talked to one other Democrat that was opposed to a resolution similar to this, understanding that business and many other entities within our community are continuing to meet by Zoom. Myself and our organization included, we're about to have our membership meeting via Zoom. So it is not out of the norm in order to keep people safe to meet in this capacity. I want to applaud the commissioners for doing their work and representing their constituents. These people that are speaking, a dozen of them, maybe 15 of them that are hitting it on both the front and the back end of the meeting, do not represent the majority of Muskegon County. And I can point to last year's election results and the presidential race to prove it. Thank you.
Okay, Debbie Null. Debbie, there you go.
Okay, I'm unmute. Okay, thank you. I'm actually very angry and quite frankly embarrassed. This vote will go down nationally of how uninformed and overreaching our county commissioners are. This is not based on evidence and not based on science. It really is truly a selfish act if it's only supposed to be about the Zoom meetings, because we can do hybrid. That's easy. All of us are figuring it out at our work, and you can do it too, where you can have in-house meetings and then an extra place, an extra location for other people overload, but also Zoom meeting as well. But you have to understand what you just did is going to be fear mongering for our community. It's going to hurt our tourism. It's going to hurt our county. It's going to hurt our businesses, our schools, our students, and people suffering from mental health. I know of a young man that killed himself because he could not do the things he normally would do because of these overreach and non-medical science. Many professionals right now are stating that we are past the pandemic based on our numbers. We are at an endemic, which means we have herd immunity. So we are supposed to get back together. And it's past that point of no return, in other words. But what you just did, you stated to the country that we are a county in an emergency when we're not. And this is just very embarrassing. I think it's very selfish of you for voting the way you did. And I also want to mention that I do ban any kind of vaccine passports because it is against our Constitution. And there are aborted fetuses in some of those vaccines, as well as being used to manufacture.
Okay, Ellen Beal, are you there? I know you've been there. You didn't unmute. I'll give you one more shot at it. Ellen Beal. If you're on a phone, you got to press *6 to speak.
Bob?
Yes. Is it? I don't know who you are.
This is Kathy G. Pellerin Mahoney, and I'm from the northern tier of the county, and I've been listening the entire time and heard many impassioned speeches, some of them multiple times, and the same speaker multiple times. And I want to address all of you commissioners and Commissioner Skolnick, Mr. Chairman, I really appreciate the time. But I want to thank all 7 of you for your patience, your dedication, and your care to the public well-being. And to the 5 who voted for the resolution, I give you my heartfelt thanks. It gives choice to the municipalities and the jurisdictions, like in the case of Muskegon Township, where they had a problem with people who had COVID. They could then choose to elect to meet via Zoom and meet safely. So for that, I thank you. And the bullying and the fear mongering that's gone on from folks who don't understand this, I would just like to say to those people, your tensions are high at this point, but please read and understand that resolution. It truly isn't anything but offering a choice to the various jurisdictions to meet as they so feel safely to do so in public. It's for our public good, and for that, salute to the 5 of you who supported that resolution. I end. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Bob,
Yes.
can you hear me? This is Ellen Beal.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ellen. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, I've been waiting for you. Ellen, you hit the button again and you're muted. I don't know what Ellen did. It's if you're on a phone, it's *6. There you go.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, we're going to try again. I just want to thank the commissioners for your patience. I would make a request. I was in local politics for many years. I would like to hear people give their addresses before they speak, because it is very difficult to know if everyone is from one district or even from our county. I want to address this to Zach Waring. Actually, I wish I was in person. Zach Waring, you do not represent me. I live at 234 Fifth Avenue in Fruitport, Michigan. You've already proven yourself to be insensitive to people that don't look like you. With your ignorant memes and jokes, you ridicule poor people that rely on the bus system, showing your disdain for thousands of Muskegon County residents. This, however, is not my biggest concern. People are entitled to be tasteless jerks who never learned from their mothers that if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. What concerns me as the elected commissioner from my district, that you do not believe in the Constitution that you swore to uphold. You ignore the truth by promoting the big lie that Trump won the election. You supported and helped organize insurrections that stormed our beautiful Capitol. You post QAnon slogans and deny vaccine science, even though you are responsible to vote on our public health budget. More people will get sick and die because of your false and thoughtless posts. Your way of thinking tells me that you do not have a firm grasp on reality and you treat your elected office as a joke. No, Mr. Laring, you do not represent me or many of the voters of the 5th District, and now it appears you don't even want to be our commissioner. By advocating that 4 districts secede and form your Freedom County, you have forfeited your right to represent Muskegon County residents on the Board of Commissioners. You need to step down right now and give up your county-paid health insurance, which I recall was one of the main reasons you ran for office. And if you're unwilling to do the right thing, I call on the other 8 commissioners to formally censure you and remove you.
Sandra, your time is up. Thank you so much. Ann Darwin, unmute please, and you have the microphone.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. We didn't have a state of emergency for mumps, measles, chickenpox, polio, none of that. And yet you're doing it for COVID. You aren't listening to the people. Bob, you are abusing your power. Most definitely. I want to correct you on something. We didn't have 500 or 600 people regarding Planned Parenthood. We had close to 1,500. We can do it again. Only you know what? Our forces are bigger. Yeah, you heard that, didn't you, Marcia? Little comment there. Yeah. So I also want to say that you commissioners are there to serve the people, not to dictate to us. And that's exactly what you're doing. I don't appreciate it. I'm an adult. I can make my decisions. You don't have to stand over me and tell me what I can and cannot do. Rollenstein had a question on that last motion, and y'all stopped her real quick so she wouldn't vote against this emergency act, but you stopped her real quick. I saw that. I want to thank Commissioner Lowering, Pago, Sear, and Brown for what they are doing. I am so proud of the four of you. I am ashamed of the rest of you. I hope so much we can get candidates to run against you and get you out of office. We need to get the Freedom of Information Act on some of this stuff. And you need to get some people who are qualified to talk about the sciences instead of just taking it in on your own. Thank you.
Okay. Here's Lynn Freisinger. I know you haven't spoken. You've been waiting a long time. Lynn, are you there? You have to unmute.
Yes, I'm here. I appreciate the opportunity to speak this way. It would not be safe for me to go to an in-person meeting because I am immune compromised. I appreciate the fact that you're having Zoom meetings, and I appreciate very much that you have voted to extend the state of emergency. I'm really apologetic that so many of my neighbors have been so abusive on their calls. I'm appalled. It's the epitome of disrespect. Once again, I appreciate the work that you all are doing, all 7 of you. I appreciate the vote, or 9 of you. How many of you are there? 9?
There's 9.
9. All 9 of you. I appreciate the majority vote to extend the state of emergency, and I hope this ends soon so you guys can all go home. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Lynn. Tammy Jagger, please. Unmute, Tammy.
Hello?
Oh, it's Alan.
Yeah, it's Alan. And I'm the Holton Township Supervisor. And I'm calling, if you look, when I was there as a commissioner 10 years ago, I made $44,000 a year. I also got free insurance. And then after 2 years, I got a check from my pension plan for $22,000. Now, I think that you probably are making enough money because I know you're making more now. I would think you could probably actually show up to a meeting. It would make kind of sense. And the next thing is, I'd like to address this to the Heights commissioner. I love her to death. My favorite commissioner of all time. You need to start listening to Zach, Melinda, Kim, and Doug a little bit more. These guys, you let them other 4 Democrats year after year after year dictate how you're running your city. These guys actually want your city to do better. And if you listen to them, these guys will help you. They are not racist. They're not what all these people are trying to make them out to be. Wilstein, you're a smart woman. You should have been the chairman of that board 5 times. What do they end up with? A whole bunch of white people and mostly old white men doing it. And it hasn't gained you anything, 0. I think that whatever you do, try to talk to these people. They don't want to hurt you. They want to help you and your city. And I beg you, you are a great commissioner. Exert your power and try to help these people a little bit. And let's get some of this done. We don't have to. You had that. You wanted to vote no on that thing. Do what your heart's telling you. This thing makes sense to start trying to exert your power and try to be somebody you're supposed to be. Thank you very much.
Okay, Alan, thank you. Interesting. Tony Barnes, unmute, please, Tony.
The hypocrisy of the "my body, my choice" comments from 2 county commissioners and many uneducated callers is ludicrous. Where was that sentiment when it came to the women's reproductive rights provided by Planned Parenthood? None of these commissioners ever missed a meeting prior to COVID unless it was an emergency or a scheduled vacation. To allege that this is a state of emergency was for the purpose of being lazy is appalling. It's a damn pandemic. None of these callers will wear masks, social distance, or get the vaccine. No wonder this is being prolonged. Grow up and act like adults. I'm sick of a retired Air Force Lieutenant Colonel calling in using threats towards any commissioners. I'm also a veteran United States Air Force, so that allows me to at least investigate whether there's charges under the UCMJ against this lieutenant colonel. I will be looking into that. Again, what a disgrace of the uniform by that gentleman. That's like the third time he has called in, made it known that he's a lieutenant colonel, and then threatened you. So I will be looking into that. But look, the commissioners that passed this state of emergency resolution to only allow the opportunity to maybe have a Zoom meeting for more participation when we've had 120 people at one point attend this meeting and then say that we're shutting them out of being able to attend this meeting in person. They are here. We've heard them. They're loud and clear, uneducated, but loud and clear. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Thank you, Tony. Quiver Quill. I don't know if that's a name. Yes, go ahead. Speak. You have the microphone.
Hi, my name is Paul Mixa. I live in Muskegon County. This is not about whether you want to get the vaccine or you do not want to get the vaccine. It's everybody's choice. And that's what it is about, is freedom of choice. I heard some of the commissioners say that they don't want the vaccine passport. If you do not want this to happen, you need to pass a resolution now and not wait around to see what happens. I want the commission to pass a resolution to ban the use of the vaccine passports in the county. As Americans, we have a duty to uphold the Constitution of the United States, and I expect nothing less from our commissioners. The vaccine passport violates our right to privacy and medical freedoms. Healthy people need to be able to move freely around society and not be discriminated against for their medical choices. Your duty by oath is to uphold the Constitution and not discriminate against your constituents. Again, a resolution needs to be passed to ban the use of the vaccine passport. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Haraya, you're up.
Thank you, Bob. Yeah, so listen, I agree with Ellen Beal, and I'd love to give my full address, but to be perfectly honest with you, given that level of anger manifested by some individuals on a meeting like this, I don't think that's necessarily wise, but I do live in Northern Shores. One of the things that I got out of this is that there are numbers, there's science and data and numbers that are somehow minimized associated with the COVID pandemic, including by someone who called in from Oceana County and made sure she knew that we all knew that she is in fact a PhD from University of Michigan. So some numbers are valid and some numbers are not. We have people calling in about tragedies, about mental health issues and folks passing away. And those are due to the response to the pandemic, but the dozens and dozens and hundreds and thousands of people who died because of the actual underlying disease don't matter as much. And we shouldn't declare a state of local emergency. Just on its face, the hypocrisy in those statements is shocking. Again, lots of what was said in opposition to this motion, this resolution tonight, had to do with things that aren't in the resolution. Right. Not one of these folks that are calling and angry about their freedoms being restricted, they were all heard, just like Tony said. The young lady that called earlier and complained about there was no state of emergency associated with measles, etc. So what? We progress as society. It probably should have been. And then the Holden Townsend supervisor, an older white male, vouching for other white individuals, mostly males, to say that they're not racist when their social media website proves otherwise, laughable on its face. Thank you to those of you that voted in favor.
Thank you, Haraya. Okay, Christina Parks. Christina, there you go.
I've already spoken. I just wanted to reply to that slanderous comment about me and my PhD. I said nothing about the numbers in Michigan. I addressed the science of basically treating COVID-19. This is a serious disease. It's more serious in African Americans, but there are reliable treatments, and I'm willing to discuss the science of that. And I do not appreciate people coming to these and slandering people who are making comments that and then putting words in my mouth. So I just wanted to address that. I have never said this isn't a serious disease. I am concerned with proper treatments and freedoms, and I really take offense to the mischaracterization of my comments. Thank you.
Okay, I have two phone numbers. One is, it's in this area. They're both in this area code. The first one is 750-9541. It's your turn. If you want to speak, press *6 if you're on I assume you're on a phone. I don't know, there's no name, so I don't know who you are. The last 4 digits are 9541. Okay. And I have one more caller, 670-7292. If you'd like to speak, now is your up. There you go. Go ahead. You've got the mic.
Yes, Commissioner Skolnick, I'd like to know, you said you were keeping track of the numbers. Do you have the numbers that you had for and against the resolution for the state of emergency?
I do, and I'm going to speak about it when it's my turn at the end.
Oh, I was just wondering what the numbers were. Like you have 5 for, and 2 against?
There was a total of, I shouldn't be answering you. This is your chance to speak.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, I wish that you would tell us that, please.
I will.
Thank you. Next, I would like to address that. I would hope that commissioners next week present a movement to absolve, delete, and rescind this state of emergency. I think it was ridiculous to, number one, do it, and number two, to do it for so long. I know that you can rescind it early, but you should have just done it week by week. It's just lazy to do it the other way, I think. So I'd like to see a movement to do that and a vote on that to rescind that. And if it's not done next week, or if it's done next week, I'd like to see it done every single week until it is rescinded and done.
Chairman
And I'd
Skolnick,
also,
could the caller please state their name?
yes, this is Tammy Barnhart, a Muskegon County resident. Also, I'd like to see a resolution to ban the vaccine passport. And I would like the 5 of you who voted for the state of emergency, I'd like to ask that you explain your reasons why you did vote for that. And I think I know why, just like the majority of us know why. We think it's job sharing. It's all about the money, the unemployment, and the furloughs. So it all goes back to money. But I'd like to hear what your individual 5 reasons were from each of you, please. And Commissioner Williston, or I'm sorry, I didn't say that right. I'm so sorry that you got cut off by Commissioner Skolnick when you had a question. You should have been allowed to ask your question.
Your time is up. I'm sorry. All right, one last crack. It's 750-9541. I don't know.
Hi.
There you go.
County Commissioner Bob.
Yes.
This is Arlene Helms, and I do live in your district. And I want to thank all of the commissioners who are serving Muskegon County. This is not an easy job. It's hard to be on call like this. So I have a couple of questions and concerns. Some of them have already been brought up. County Commissioner Willisteen stated that she did not understand the resolution. And then she was cut off. You listened to the people, but you did not hear them. What I heard when I'm listening to this call was concern, and people were not for the state of emergency in Muskegon County with great concerns, and I'm not going to go into all of them because we've all heard them. You chose to ignore your constituents. You work for us. We don't work for you. You are supposed to represent your constituents, not each other, which is what you just did. You did not allow Commissioner Willisteen to ask her question, and I'm wondering why that was. Can this be tabled for lack of understanding on the part of Commissioner Willisteen's lack of understanding of this resolution? This resolution is divisive. It did not bring unity to our county. The concern that the gentleman who was in Florida, he 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 was with a majority with 600,000 people in a smaller community. Those and coming back to Muskegon and being very disappointed, that is a grave concern. We want people to come to Muskegon County. We want them to feel safe. And this seemed, just listening to everything and everyone, this really seems like a false narrative to bring to the table. And
Okay, that's it. That's it. That's all the people that want to speak. The next item is final board comments. Commissioners, this is your last crack at it. Marcia?
Yeah, I need to change the subject. At the last board meeting on April 1st, Commissioner Pago made a motion for districts 5, 7, 8, and 9 to secede from the county. I was personally totally caught off guard, as were the two commissioners she included in her motion and everyone else. It was not submitted in writing ahead of time. I was incredulous and inadvertently used swear words I don't normally use. Definitely not in a meeting. I thought I said them under my breath, but my mic was very sensitive and picked them up. So I apologize for swearing at the full board meeting on April 1st. Yeah, I'm serious about that. I am concerned about why Commissioner Pago would make such a motion. If certain areas of the county are not getting their share of resources, we need to see if that's true and try to fix it. That could have easily been done without proposing such an extreme solution. The county provides many essential services that I don't think some appreciate, such as courts, public safety, the jail, convention bureau, mental health services, public health, senior services, prosecutor, youth services, wastewater, parks and veteran services, just to name a few. Supervisors in several of those districts were not consulted ahead of time and have expressed their outrage to Chair Skolnick. This idea needs to die its natural death, and no county fund should be spent on it except to defend the best interests of Muskegon County. We need to move on to run the county and solve our real problems. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Hovey-Wright. Anyone else?
Mr. Chair, I have a final comment, if I may.
Yes, Mr. Larry.
Back to this resolution, the declaration of an emergency. This is an end run around the Opens Meeting Act. How many of you commissioners would support if your constituent broke the law and came up with a convenient excuse to break the law? The Opens Meeting Act is clear. Our legislators not going to address it. So you need to follow the law the way it exists, not just amend it and come up with an excuse to violate the law. Secondly, several commissioners in this meeting suggested that they felt uncomfortable because I didn't want to wear a mask in a meeting. So let me address your famous President Obama directed the what they called Obamacare and collapsed the medical system. He tried to pass it without it being a tax. He passed it, it went to the Supreme Court. They said, no, we're going to have to decide. We're going to call it a tax because the government can't mandate that I purchase or do something like that without the Constitution declared that unlawful and suggested that the government could make a new tax, but they couldn't force somebody to go buy something. So constitutionally telling me that I have to go out and purchase or make something to protect you is so far beyond the reach of the Constitution. I don't even want to explain it. The idea of succession from Muskegon County, this exactly says why we want to secede from Muskegon County. This whole, what are we going to call it? We want to leave North Korea. If you want to be a communist run state, have at it. We don't want to be a part of that. And there is significant movement in the townships for that separation. So maybe we'll call it the DMZ.
Okay. Anybody else? I have just a couple of final remarks and then we'll adjourn. There were, somebody asked me about how many people spoke and whatnot. There was a total in the beginning. There was a total, and I did keep track. There was 31 people who spoke. 23 spoke against it, and 8 spoke for it. Now, that's a total of 31. Then, because Mr. Kyla mentioned the number of voters in Muskegon County, I went back and I looked. There were 92,444 voters in November of 2020. So I know over 92,000 people voted. So 31 people, if you take the total number, yes and no, people who spoke, that represents 3.5 out of 10,000. That's so 3.5 people out of 10,000 are, you're saying, are what the county, represents the entire county. I disagree. I think somebody has done a fantastic job, and I give whoever it was amazing credit for recruiting all these people to call in. The problem is that the people who were in favor of it don't say anything. I just want to say a little bit more. As of today, I went and looked. I had 154 either text messages, phone calls, or Facebook messages about this issue today. I had some people, one who said I didn't take their call. I spoke to them yesterday for 30 minutes, and I had some people call me 2 or 3 times. There aren't enough hours in the day to take all those calls because they're not like 2-minute calls. They want to talk and talk and talk. So to say I'm not doing anything, I spent the entire, I'm not complaining. That's why I love doing this. But, and also Alan Jagger, who was a commissioner for 2 years, 1 term, said we make $44,000. I'd like to have that job.
Me too.
None of us make $44,000. I can tell you what this, you can look up the salary. It's $16,359. And I'll bet the average person that's a commissioner spends somewhere between 24 and 40 hours a week doing this. If you think this is just show up to a meeting and that's all you do, you're wrong. So to call me lazy is ridiculous. I've never been lazy. That's the one thing that kind of insulted me a little bit, but I'm over it. So anyway, whatever. I don't intend for this thing, if I have anything to say about it, which I think I do, I don't intend for this to go on to the end of the year. There's going to come a point, this pandemic is not ever going to be over. It's never going to be completely over. There's always going to be something. So we have to reach the point when we're comfortable going back to our normal lives, because it isn't going to be like somebody flipped the switch and it's over. It's like terrorism. It's never going to go away. So I don't know when that's going to be, but it'll be soon. So, and with that, using my power as the chairman of the board, I call this meeting adjourned, and thank you all. Thank you all for participating.